Now it's working. Testing this mic. Oh, there it's working. Fantastic. It's 9:02, so I think we should probably say that we are crew call. Let's go. So grab a seat when you can. Otherwise, I'm just going to do some very, very brief opening remarks. Michael Brueggemeyer has already given me that eye that says, let's make a movie. So we've got to get going. I have a couple of just brief announcements that I want to make, a couple of logistics things. If you're parked on the street, it's 3-hour parking. So when we have a break, you might want to go out and move your car. If you go just to the south, 1 block, there's a public lot there. Another little logistics note, the restrooms are out the door here, turn left. If you are a lady, you need to go up the stairs or use the elevator to go upstairs. As someone said, a man must have designed this building, which I actually, I thought that was pretty funny. We need light.
Yeah, we'll keep the house lights up until we're actually rolling.
I have a couple of thank yous. First to Tom Dunn, who I think is in the back room, who is here with the university. He has invited us graciously here for 2 or more site visits. The team was here most of the afternoon yesterday. I don't know what time they left. And then, of course, today, so thank you. And then thanks to who was here yesterday? Michael, Mark, Tom Kinnaman was here. Right, Mark, Kevin Marty. And thank you for being here for the setup yesterday. It's a lot of work to get this pulled together. Okay, so just a quick thing. This is a bag of swag from NAB. A number of us were there recently. There are some fabulous t-shirts and other items in here for the next meeting. We're not going to do that today because we're going to be tight on time. So May 22nd is the next meeting. And at the next meeting, I'm going to share the stage with Michael Tao. We're going to do a presentation that he has called The Art of Storytelling. So Michael's going to do that. And then I'm going to do a presentation on the art of interviewing, since the two sort of all tie together. So mark your calendar, that's Wednesday, May 22nd, and we hope you'll be there. And now, here we go, Michael Brueggemeyer. Negative.
Okay, good.
Good to go.
So we're going to start our shoot, and then we'll start explaining what we're doing. So cast and crew, can I get you guys to come out here? Quick introductions. Aidan Keltner, Michaela Palmer, these guys are our crew. Robin Martin is our director of photography. Christine Gatlin is our actress. David Rains is parking the car. He's our actor. So we have 2 scenes we're going to shoot today, and the film is going to edit those 2 scenes together. Later on, I'm going to talk about how and why the script is that way. But the first thing I do is do a logistics meeting of tell everybody what we're going to do and how we're going to do it so that everybody starts out on the same page. So the first thing that's going to happen is we're going to get a couch right here. We're going to steal a couch. So you two are going to steal that couch out there and be nice about it. The reason we're incorporating that into the show is because that's what happens in 48s. You have to be sneaky and polite and respectful, but steal. So the scene that takes place here is in a living room. It's very warm and comfortable. It's a very sweet, gentle, happy scene. We're going to do a slider shot with a two-shot out in front of that's David Raines, by the way, sneaking out. We're going to do a slider shot for a two-shot, and then we're going to come over and get an over-the-shoulder and a single of each actor. In order to do that with our makeshift set, and this is our makeshift set, we're going to try and make this look as pretty as possible, and hopefully if we do a good job, you don't notice that it's a makeshift set on camera. We may have to jockey around our walls a little bit to get the angles that we need, but we're going to be ready to do that. The second scene that we're going to do is over along this fence. When we came in location scouted, I saw that and realized that we could do an exterior, like an alley scene. So that's what we're going to do after lunch. One of the challenges with that particular scene is we don't have a whole lot of fence. So instead of shooting, we're going to shoot the same exact two-shot, and we need those shots to match from this scene to that scene because I'm going to be cutting in between them. We're going to do the two-shot. We're going to do the singles this way, and then we're going to change up the background and switch the actors and do the other singles the same way and then flip it in post. And because I did the location scout, I know that I don't have the room to do it the other direction, so that's part of my plan. As we move forward, the camera angles from this have to match the camera angles from over there. What are the limitations?
On both actors or just on?
I want to do as best as possible to match everything. So if you're shooting singles, put one eye at the third of the frame and keep it there, and hopefully we'll be able to cut those things together. Because that shot is taking place on the ground, we're just going to put the slider on the ground over there.
Sure.
And so when they're sitting on a couch here, we need to elevate the slider so that the bottom of the slider is equivalent to where their butt would be sitting on the ground. Okay? The lighting setup for this room, what I was thinking, you're the director of photography, feel free to change. We have an aperture 120, which is basically with a Fresnel lens or without a lens. I want it back there. We're going to put a branch on a C-stand, and we're going to bang the light through that. And I want it coming in through here, and we're going to fog up this area. And that's going to be the primary source of light, so hopefully we'll have kind of streaks of light coming in and kind of an overall glow in the fog here, so that it makes all this stuff kind of blend into the background and not look like it's unfinished wood. Right. And then we have a China lantern for Phil, and that is our other primary source of light. That light was given to me by somebody who never used it, and they got it from somebody who didn't use it, and they got it from a TV station that was getting rid of it because it was on their grid and they weren't using it. So it's a very old and crappy light.
We'll do our best to make it less so.
Yes. So for wardrobe, for our actors in this opening scene, warm, cozy, it's a very soft, gentle feeling. You guys are very much in love. I want to go with earth tones. One of the things that's going to happen is when you bring in the couch, this thing is a backdrop that I have that we can just kind of drape over the couch. And then this is a throw, or we could use this. I just want it to make it look nondescript. It's bright blue right now.
Copy. What is this, and can we completely fly this out?
I'm going to move this over there, and we'll show that in a few minutes. That should have been tighter. That's my fault.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so ready, break.
All right, guys, get on the couch.
The couch and then we can talk about lighting.
Yep, sounds good.
So we're all going to work, and I'm going to talk while we do it. I'm going to grab the slider and put it in the approximate spot that I think it's going to go. So I went out last night and got a branch, cut a branch off a tree at the golf course that's next to my development. We're going to use that for a shadow, casting a shadow onto the curtain, and that on set is known as a brancholoris because it's a cucoloris made of a branch. Scoot that 2 feet to the left. There you go. Lovely. Once I get this in place, I'm going to show you, take a walk through the camera that we're using. When I was thinking about this program, one of the things that I was thinking about is storytelling and filmmaking is not about the technology. So if you have a camera of any kind, you can tell a story with it. And the best way for me to think in those terms, in terms of leading a seminar, is let's do a seminar with subpar equipment. No, it's not officially subpar equipment, it's okay equipment. But for example, this camera is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. It's this little camera in here, okay? There's a big metal cage around it because if you don't put a cage around it, it's made so crappy that it'll break. They're very delicate cameras. They shoot 1920 by 1080. There's a number of problems with them, like the HDMI connector is bad. But when I bought the camera, I did my best to fix those problems. The batteries in these are terrible, so I built a base plate with a V-mount battery mount, so it's powered off of this big battery, so it can go for a long time. There are certain things that it does poorly, like battery, and the screen is very dark, so almost unusable in daylight. But at the same time, the images that it gets are pretty darn good. Am I in a feedback hole? Do we like that, or? Okay, so I have a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera. I'm going to turn this way and see if that helps. In front of that, I have a Metabone speed booster. The Blackmagic Cinema camera has a micro four thirds sensor, this tiny little sensor, approximately the size of 16 millimeter film. When I bought the camera, I bought the speed booster. The speed booster takes a Super 35 image and shrinks it down and drops it into that micro four thirds sensor. And when it does that, it does three things. One, it keeps all the optical characteristics of Super 35. So the depth of field is similar to a large sensor camera. It takes this much light and dumps it into here, which means that it increases the light that's going onto the sensor by 1 2/3 stops, which is a lot. And then it also takes all those little photons and shrinks them down into there, so it makes the image sharper. So when I use if I were to use a regular lens on this, it would not be as sharp as using the lenses I have in the speed booster. The lenses I have are all old vintage Nikon lenses, and I got most of them off of Craigslist. And the most I spent for any of them is $85. I have a whole bunch of lenses. Let me think. I have a 24, a 28, a 35, a 50, a 55, an 85, a 105, and a 200. And I probably spent total $600 on all of them. And they're all f2-ish. This one's an 1.4. You can get really good results out of old lenses because optics haven't changed. So I'm using old lenses, this adapter, and this camera. These are all accessible pieces of equipment. If you have a 5D, it's pretty much the same thing. It records at 1920 by 1080, so I won't be blowing anything up in post, or at least not appreciably. There may be, I mentioned that there's going to be shots where I'm going to be cutting from one scene to the other scene, and I'm going to be doing a trick tomorrow where I'm going to do an edit between those shots, and I'm going to put a dissolve there and park my cursor in the middle, and I'm going to blow one shot up until it matches the other shot. And then I'm going to take the dissolve out so that when we cut, the person's face will be in the same spot in the frame, and it'll be seamless. And if you watch the live feed tomorrow, you can see that happen. What are you doing?
I'm trying to get a little more height out of this, so we actually will match the seated height of them. So just getting it up a couple inches taller.
Okay. All right. I have a matte box on this, and I have a follow focus on this, just because I have them. We can go without a matte box. It's not going to make any difference today. It just, for this particular rig, it's kind of back heavy because we have a battery and a monitor back there. So I keep the matte box on for counterweight. It probably does help us with lens flare, but not a ton. We are going to be taking this whole, a lot of the stuff that's on this camera right now is for this particular event. My plan was to just take a microphone and run it directly into this camera. But if we do that, then they won't be able to get audio for the live feed or for the event. So we had to take the audio that runs, this is the microphone that we're going to be using for the shoot. That goes into a mixer, and out of the mixer it comes back into here and also off to the booth. We are taking video out of this camera, and because of that, I have a HDMI splitter on here, which feeds off to this other splitter that goes off to the booth. So some of this equipment and all of these cables wouldn't be here on a regular shoot. This would be a camera and a monitor, and super easy to wield because we're kind of doing this to show that you can do this with any camera. The instructions I gave to the crew before coming here today in the email, I sent them the script. I sent them a rundown of the kind of the things we need on the shoot, and so everybody who came brought tables and pillows and chairs and stuff. Everybody jumps in and does everything in every department.
Can you share that with us so we can see what that sort of, I don't mean now, but email it to us or put it online?
Yes. I'm also going to share these things. I only made 10, so you'll have to pass them around. These are the scripts. You can pass those around. So you can read the script as we go and get an understanding of what we're going after. There's another set of handouts.
I think those were with that.
Are there individual pages in there somewhere?
The equipment list, right?
The equipment list, yes.
We can put all that on the website.
Okay. It'll be accessible. But the
If that's okay, Mike.
yeah, I'm doing that on purpose. Yes. When I start working on a 48-hour film project, I'm looking for a story that we can tell that's compelling. And Marianne Bates is right back there. She writes with me when we do this. The first thing is I hear the voice of my intermediate film professor who, first day of class, went down a list of all the things we weren't allowed to do in class that year. And the reason he said, you can't do these things is because everybody does these things and they're cliche. You should be telling stories that nobody else is going to tell. And among the things on his list were in his class, you couldn't use guns for anything because most of us never get anywhere near a gun. And it's fake drama. It's fake conflict. Real conflict has human beings. A gun is just a fake way of starting something. Avoid dream sequences, flashbacks, voiceover narration, chases, montages, because they're all overused by beginners. For you students, if you start a film with your alarm clock going off and the person waking up really fast, just need to know that every other student has already made that film. We work really hard on trying to avoid anything that anybody else would do. So a number of years ago, we picked the superhero genre, and we do this brainstorming session, and our brainstorming session is pretty great. As soon as the genre is picked, we're all in a room. Everybody is welcome to be in that room, and we take 5 minutes and write down any ideas that occur to us, even if it's just a character or a prop. Or, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we write down everything? And after 5 minutes, we go around the table and everybody just describes what they've written down. We don't comment, we don't judge, we just listen and take it in. And then, once we've done that all the way around the table, you're allowed to riff on somebody else's idea, or give a whole new idea, or redo the first idea you had. But the whole point of that is to be open to other ideas and literally brainstorm to come up with the best idea that you can individually in that group. We go around the table the second time. Do you need me?
You good?
Thank God. This head requires a little collar that goes in there, which is in the white canvas bag.
Got it.
That was amazing. Just gone. What was I talking about? Second time around. Thank you very much, Sandy. That's why we have Sandy here. Second time around the table, as the director, it's my job to figure out what I can accomplish, what I can tell. So I'm filtering everything through that filter. How could this story work? Can we do it? If the answer is yes, then it stays in that, in contention. And then it starts getting narrowed down based on what we want to do, or what story ideas come out good. For one of our films, we came up with an interesting idea. It was for a buddy film, and the interesting idea was the surgeon in the ER, the doctor in the ER, meets his childhood friend who is brought into the ER and dying. And we took that one step forward through discussion, and another step forward, and another step forward, and we ended up with a gentleman who's developmentally disabled, who works in a funeral parlor preparing the bodies for the funerals, and his best friend from childhood is one of the bodies, and she lived next door to him, and he remembers her as the 12-year-old that she was when he knew her, and they were best friends, and they made a pact to do a whole bunch of things together when they grew up. And so they go out, he dresses her up like she was 12, and they go out and spend the weekend having this wonderful weekend where they cross all the things off their list. So that started with a story in the ER and filtered down to that. And so as a director, I'm trying to figure out ways to tell that story that nobody else will do it, that nobody else will think of. When we did, you okay?
Good.
Okay. When we did the sci-fi one, we had the choice between doing a comedy where it's a support group with a whole bunch of superheroes. See? And every time you hear that, you go, oh, that's a great idea. If you ever go to the 48-hour film projects worldwide, it's like, oh, there's that film again. It comes up every third superhero film. And then the other one was a drama. Nobody's going to do a superhero film as a drama. And so we chose to do a superhero film as a drama. And people tend to look at superhero films as special effects films. So when you watch 48-hour films, you see a lot of effects, a lot of green screen and stuff, and explosions. And we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to do what somebody else would do. So the person's superhero was the ability to look into somebody else's head and see their thoughts and their memories, and basically walk into their memories and change their perspective on how they see that moment, so that it helps them, when they come out of that memory, to not reflect on the bad of that moment, but move forward with the good of that moment. That's a complicated thing in 7 minutes. But our mindset was, nobody's going to tell that film. And that's the film we want to tell. So with this particular film, when I sat down to write the script, I didn't pick a genre because I figured there was enough challenges that I should just write a story that I could accomplish. So I'm starting with a scene with a man and a woman. And I want to have drama in it, and I want to have an ending. So I'm trying to figure out how that can work, where the ending can be different and interesting and not what you expect. That's my goal with a short film. And so I thought about them sitting on a couch and being happy, and then some way cutting in something sad. And then how that worked out was, I thought about them sitting on that couch, and they're celebrating his 3-year chip of being clean and sober. And then he has this, or they have this flashback to 3 years earlier, where he's in an alley and he's begging to die, and she's trying to talk him out of it. And so it cuts in between these two scenes. In the first scene, she gives him a watch as a congratulations for 3 years clean and sober. We've turned the corner. We have, and here's my dad's gold watch. And he's touched, and they're happy and wonderful, and then they have this flashback. And then the other scene is he keeps begging to die, and she's trying to save him, and she can't, and he doesn't want to save himself. And the last moment in that is where he gives the watch back because he'll sell it for drugs. So, yeah, the ending there is that this hasn't been a flashback, it's been a flash forward. So that's what I'm looking for with the ending of a short film. I want to turn the expectations on its ear. I also want to do things that are we good? You found that thing.
Discussion.
Pardon me?
I'd like to talk about focal lengths.
Oh, we're going to discuss focal lengths. Yes.
So, right now,
Hang on.
So right now we've
Do
got
we-
a 50 mil lens.
Is there a microphone?
handheld?
Yes, right there. Let me turn it on for you, sir. Stand by, it's in mute at the moment.
I just saw the monitor, and it was panning with me as I was walking, and it freaked me out.
So I'll just talk into your chest for a while until this lights up. Oh, there we go. Is that it? No. There it is. Okay. So right now we have a 50 millimeter lens on here. I'm guessing, is that the focal length you want to use for the OTSs, for the singles?
I've been thinking about this a lot over the past week. The 50 millimeter I have is the only lens that goes to 1.4,
Okay.
and that may be the thing that saves us
Okay.
on this 2-shot for depth of field, so that will not look like plywood.
So that we can go completely open and blur it out as much as possible.
Yes.
Okay. So that means camera position is going to have to scoot back probably quite a bit for us to get a 2-shot out of it.
Sure. Let's
Okay.
find out.
Okay. Or the couch position can scoot back a little bit, but the farther away we can keep from the set, the better.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So let me sit in here,
Yeah.
and you can.
Please do. And you guys should have a feed of what the camera is seeing, and don't get seasick as I move the camera.
I have to say, standing in front of people while they're working and talking is totally alien. I want to be messing with the lights. Yeah, that's entirely too close.
Yeah. Yep. Because all we're going to do is that shot. So
Well, do you want to try swapping out a lens?
Yeah. 28.
Okay.
24.
Let's try the 28. Oh, let's try the 24. Let's find the 24. Let's use the 28, because I'm pretty sure the 24 is at home.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions about anything at the moment that you want to
Yes.
step into? Any questions? Because you can ask. This is a live set, but we're not really.
Let me explain something real quick.
Go right ahead.
I'm the camera assistant at this moment. I'm handing him a lens. The lens that I'm going to hand him is going to be focused at infinity and with the aperture wide open. I'm going to hand it to him with the front element in his palm so that he can place it onto the camera.
All right. We got a question here. Your name, sir? Step on up. Go ahead. Your name?
My name is Michael. My question is.
Good name.
Thank you. My question is, what is it like when you get the assignment from the 48-hour film festival? Like, how does it go down so quickly? Like, on the first night, are you writing and selecting? Like, what do you have in place beforehand, and what do you do the first night?
That's an awesome question, and I'm going to answer that backward. The answer is we back time everything. So we want to turn in our film at 5 p.m. on Sunday, which means that we have to render from 4 to 5 p.m. to export. We've already timed how long it takes to export the film, and it's less than an hour, but we want to make sure that we have extra time built in. So from 4 p.m. to 2 p.m., we're doing sound mix and color grading if we can, or both. From 2 p.m. to 9 a.m., I'm director sitting with the editor, going over the edit, and getting it fine-tuned. From 9 a.m. to the previous day, the editor from Wrapped, the editor is already working on the film. As a matter of fact, when we start shooting on Saturday, as soon as we get a card full, we're going to take that off to the editor. So whenever wrap is, usually hopefully I will take that footage to the editor so that I can talk him through the files that he's looking at. When I talk to the editor, I'm not telling him, this is how I see the story. I'm telling him, we got a wide shot, 2 close-ups, and we realized we screwed up the wide shot, so we shot the wide shot again. I'm just telling him logistical stuff because I don't want him to be tainted by my ideas of the story. So that when I arrive at 9 a.m., he's got his edit that might be completely different from mine, but odds are it's going to be better because you have 2 brains and he's an editor. We have our shoot day, and you never know how that's going to go. We usually have our call time around 10 a.m. because when you have your call time at 8 a.m., people trickle in until about 10. You still don't get your first shot off until 10:30. If you make a call time of 10 a.m., you get your first shot off at 10:30, so you might as well have those 2 extra hours of sleep. So basically that whole thing is back time to when you're turning in the film. When we're saying turning it in at 5, that gives us a buffer to have something go wrong because something will go wrong. Actually, the more you prepare for something to go wrong, the less likely it is that something is going to go wrong, just because the universe is mean that way. In terms of kickoff, we have we have people share what resources they have accessible to us in the weeks leading up to the event. So if somebody has a great backyard, or a friend with a restaurant, or a hair salon, or puppets, we just share that in an email thing so that when we start writing, we know what resources we have at our disposal so we can find locations for it. The first year we did this, we wrote a lovely, lovely story about Mary Todd Lincoln in the moments after Abe gets shot. And it takes place at the Ford's Theater. And we wrote it, and it was awesome. And at midnight on a Friday, we're like, we need a Ford's Theater. So we spent all day building a set and got our first shot off at 7 p.m. And as a side note, I told my wife that year, it'll cost, $100, $200. A month later, the bill comes in, it was like $1,200.
Moving camera.
Hi. So we get our resources together, we get our crew together. One of the things that we do, which is probably unusual, is that we have everybody pitch in $40, a little bit of money. Pays for lunch, pays for props, pays for bribes so we can cut branches off trees. But it helps. So cast and crew, everyone is invited to come to the writing event, and we gather together prior to kickoff. We have one person go to kickoff. That person will pick our genre and our prop, or pick our genre and then tell us what the prop, the line of dialogue, and the character is. But the rest of us are in a conference room, and as soon as we get the genre, we start that 5 minutes of brainstorming. Usually we get a story idea. They do kickoff at about 7. We usually have a paragraph of a story idea around 9. We start writing the script, usually get done around midnight, 1, 2, 30, 3, 4? Yeah. And then we send an email out to everybody with the script, with props that we need, the locations we're going to shoot at, because as we're writing the script, somebody else is figuring out the logistics of where we're going to go and who's going to go where and if we're going to have a B unit, and it gets crazy. So we send out that email, and I go to bed, and everybody scurries like rats to get everything done overnight so that when everybody shows up in the morning, we're all set to go. There have been a couple times when we've had judgment errors shooting on a Saturday at Belmont Park in August. It was a terrible idea. We had one actress who showed up at call time and spent 3 hours driving around, never found parking, and drove home crying. But, you do what you have to do.
And I'll speak to that. I've worked, Mark Masonev, I've worked with Michael on a number of his projects, on a number of his 48s as well. And the funny thing about that particular one at Belmont that he talks about is that one best film. Crappy day to shoot, he says. Crappy weather, crowded and crappy, yet that won the film. You as an audience will never know that was a crappy day, right? Because you don't know for the crew that it was a bad day and the decision-making process, but it won. So keep that in mind, because there's a number of questions. How many have done 48s? How many have done 48s? Okay, interesting, about less than a third. How many are going to do a 48? How many want to do a 48?
Woohoo!
Okay, how many don't know what a 48 is, but thought, I'm going to be here for 48 hours today? What is that? Okay, well, that's good. Any other questions while we're going forward? Because, we can always ask Mike, this is a working set. He's working, but he can stop and answer questions.
In hindsight, the 48-hour film project is the best film school you'll ever have. Because in film school, you spend 2 months working on a film and you make mistakes throughout and you try to figure it out. In the 48-hour film project, you have 1 day to make mistakes and solve them, and make mistakes and solve them. And you're encountering the same number of problems. You're just having to solve them in a hurry, and pressure adds to the mistakes. But honestly, you learn from your mistakes. And the way I describe the difference between me and a beginner is that beginners are just making different mistakes. I'm making mistakes every time I go out. The difference is my mistakes are either at a higher level or I'm better at hiding them.
No, he's absolutely correct. If you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. If you're trying to play it safe, you're not trying. To Mike's point about the alarm clock, I'll differ slightly on that. If that's what you think is in your picture and in your mind, that's not a bad thing to do. But make that mistake. Go ahead and make that mistake. Go ahead and do that. That's okay. But those are your mistakes, and learn from them and move forward to make bigger mistakes. If you come to some meetings where Mike would talk about horror stories, Mike, if you listen to Mike, you would think Mike is the worst director on the planet, because Mike has more horror stories than a horror film. It's just awful listening to what Mike has been through. I feel bad for him. I think he talks to someone once a week about it, I think. It's just awful. But make those mistakes, right?
Mark was on commercials that I did for Mission Fed, and we had 2 actors just not show up. One was a Hispanic girl. We needed a Hispanic girl, 12 years old. Mark volunteers to go to the grocery store nearby, walk up to a mom and say, "Hi, we're making a commercial nearby. Can we take your daughter back into a canyon and put her in a commercial?"
True story. True story. So, that's a little weird. Absolutely. You're walking in and don't worry, Mom. It's in a canyon behind here. We're safe. Trust me. Come on back. And we're going to pay you. Come on back. But it worked out because you just do what you have to do. I was producing on those, and you just do what you have to do. You make it happen, and you just keep pushing forward and not let that stuff stop you, right? And because my director needed a Hispanic daughter, and fortunately in the aisle was a mom and a Hispanic daughter. Divine intervention? Yes, absolutely divine intervention there. Other questions?
Hey, Tom Dunn,
Yep.
Is it okay if I turn the fog on?
Wow, now? Are you close to shooting?
We need to see it. We're at the point where we're fine-tuning
Fog is
lighting.
very foggy. So, any other questions you want to ask going forward at this point in time? As a note, Mike's going to stay during lunch. If anybody wants to ask him questions offline that you just thought of, or are too embarrassed to tell him, if you blush when you're around him, you can do that later. Ask him questions. So nothing. Yes. Stand by. Going over to Kevin. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Kevin. Marty.
Has, you always have to have a mandatory prop and a mandatory line in a 48 hours. Has that ever affected your, where you're going to be, or your screenplay or anything like that?
Honestly, our model is that we work on the story independent of everything else, and then we weasel those things into it, which is not truly with the spirit of the 48, but that's story comes first. If you put the story second, it's just not going to work. So we just kind of shoehorn stuff in as awkwardly as we can. I mean, for example, the first year we did it, it was the Mary Todd Lincoln, and she had been Abraham had just been shot, 2 minutes earlier, and the prop was a tweezers. So we have a doctor who gets rushed in who's picking stuff out of her hair and off of her face, from splatter, and we were punched. We were so tired when we were finishing that script, and we didn't have a title for it, and somebody written in the script, the doctor comes in and is using the tweezers to pull, I quote the script, he's using the tweezers to pull bits of Abe out of Mary's hair. And so that became the joke title between all of us, and we were all punch drunk and giggling with that title at 1 a.m, but it didn't end up staying that way. So. Hi.
I asked this, 48, who's done a 48 here? Hands up real quick. You've done a 48? So when you do 48, does your process differ, Susan?
I was an actress in a 48 with Sue Vickery and an all-women, 25 women. We made history, Team XX. This was in 2015. So process-wise, you'd have to ask the filmmakers. So
Well, as an actress, do you find what are the things that you find are challenging about a 48, and what do you wish your directors and producers would know and tell you before you become an actress on these?
actually, they had everything together. It was absolutely fantastic. We had masseuses, we had makeup people, we had everybody ready, and we had to do just some post voiceover that I had to get called in the next day. But it was just a fabulous process to watch and be a part of. And it was all women, like I said, all women.
Yes, that will make a difference. I've worked on many of Mike's projects, never had a masseuse. I would like to maybe add that as
I've offered.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I've
that's it.
offered, Mr. Weinstein.
I do have one comment, though.
Go ahead and have a seat on the
I'm a
couch.
SAG-AFTRA actress, and I would like to be more involved, to be acting and have
And
the
you're gonna be scooted
waivers
over to that
already,
corner as far as
you know,
possible. This is an
so that I
absurd
can
pillar.
act. It's very difficult in a 48-hour if the paperwork is not prepared for that.
So SAG-AFTRA doesn't just say, hey, on 48 you guys are free.
I think you have to do the paperwork ahead of time to be able to have SAG-AFTRA actors in it. But I'm not sure.
Hold on, one at a time. Who can speak to this authoritatively? We
Marianne
have
can.
Marianne back here. This is Marianne Bates, who is an exceptional writer, or writeress? Writer. We're just confirming on that. Marianne, stand up. So go ahead. What is it about SAG-AFTRA and 48?
The 48 has prepared paperwork that the producer and you fill out together. When you arrive on set, you fill out your paperwork, sign it. It's about 3 pages of written word, and then you just sign your name and address. But the 48-hour provides that paperwork. Your producer would have that, your team leader.
So those are things for your producers of your films to get that printed out. How many of you gone to the mixer? You goes to the mixer, and you go to the 40-hour
We'll fog
mixers.
it.
There's been, what,
We'll
2 or
fog it
3?
and see what happens.
Anybody know what the mixer is? Who's been to a mixer? The mixer. So the mixer, this is, if you're doing a 48, you go to the mixer. Why do you go to the mixer? Who's at the mixer? Your actors and other people. You're going to meet people there that you might be able to put on your team, right? So it's called networking. Understand. Here's someone who's been to a mixer.
Yeah, so the 48, they do 4 to 5 meet and greets, and that's where you meet the directors, producers, writers. Everyone who wants to be involved will be at those mixers. And they have some that are in North County, South County, East County, and general San Diego area. They pretty much cover the whole county.
Awesome. That's a mix. Those are those events, meetups. What do you call them? Meet and greets. Go to those meet and greets. It's like this, only specific to the 48. So go to those. Go to those. Michael?
We're going to fog up the room, and one of the requirements of that is that we can't exit out of these 2 doors while the room is fogged. So I just wanted to make that announcement. If you need to go to the bathroom for the next few minutes, you can go out that door back there and snake your way through or that door back there and go out, and the restrooms are over there in the corner. There's a ladies' restroom is on the 2nd floor. There's a men's restroom up there as well, and a men's restroom down here. We don't know why.
It is 9:45. Are you good on time?
Yeah, I'm going to start fogging.
Hey, before you fog, because a question I have is, and this comes up, okay? You're the director, and in your mind, you see fog, right? That's what you want to see because you're trying to see something with the room, right? At what point do you push to say, I need to have fog? And at what point do you go, you know what, I can make it work without fog because Tom didn't know we were going to do fog. Tom was so nice to let us do fog, but he has to do some extra things. How much do you inconvenience slightly or push your location that is donating? And how much do you say, you know what, that's great, I don't need fog? Where do you go? Where's your line?
I don't use fog in places where the fire alarms will go off.
We don't know if that's going to happen here yet. We've been told it won't.
If we keep the doors closed, we should be fine.
Here, the word should is operative.
And I ask permission before I use fog, and
How
I'm
critical
trying-
is fog to this scene?
I'm trying to make the movie that I see in my head come to life. And I want this scene to be soft and gentle and idyllic. And I want that scene to be hard and rough and crisp. And so in this particular thing, the reason I'm using fog is to get that idyllic feel, so for contrast of
So
scenes.
for your, so the point being, if in your mind, this is an important element, and for the edit, this is the soft hard, you work for that. You try your very best to make that happen. Don't let go necessarily just because, oh, you know what, we might cause it. Well, figure it out. Figure out a way you can do that. Don't just let go for your producers and directors, but don't be a Mike Tao will say this, and can we say this in online? Can we say this? Don't be a dick. That's Mike Tao's thing. Don't do that. Don't be a jerk about it, okay? But push for it. Push for it. Feel free to push for those things.
So I'm gonna fog it. Fog's coming in.
Yeah, you can see.
It's apropos because of 48, you're usually working in a fog, generally speaking, especially at 3 a.m. in the morning, and you haven't slept in 24 hours.
Okay, that light is going across, and we're never going to see the beams if it's going across. Yes. Good luck with that.
So, yeah, do your best with the tight space back there, and it needs to be brought more directly through the sheet.
So they're trying to rework on the branches in the back, correct?
Yes.
Branch of Loris.
We're
So-
trying to move the light. When fog is backlit like this through something, you'll see the beams of light come in. But right now, the beams of light are coming this way, and since they're going across the fog, we aren't going to see it as much. So I'm trying to work the backlight around over this direction.
Copy, yep.
And
I
then
do- yeah.
we'll move the branch to...
I do a lot of live shows, and they fog a lot because they really want to see those beams of light that are coming across on the stage lights. And in big spaces, they'll start fogging 15 minutes before, because a big space like this, you know, physics will tell you it's going to disperse, and all of a sudden the fog you just had is gone. There's no fog, so you have to keep fogging because fog doesn't stay where you want it to stay, right? They have some that will stay low, but fog isn't going to stay here. It's going to go all over the place. So you can't control fog. It's very difficult. Yes?
Let's move the couch this way.
Cheap way to do fog, Mike. Got any smokers on your set?
Cheap ways to do fog?
No, cheap way to do fog. What is that you're using right there?
This is a Halloween fog machine.
Right. They're not expensive, and the juice is not that expensive.
Vape dissipates too quickly. I've heard of people heating up coals and then pouring 3-in-1 oil on them, which is horrible. So I would just use a fogger. They're easy to find.
They're not difficult. They're not horribly inexpensive to buy. You can rent them, and you buy some juice. And if you love fog, then that's a good thing to do.
One thing I have done is I've been shooting food, and we want it to look like it's steaming, so we'll bring a tube and have somebody on the crew vape and blow through the tube, and we'll have holes in the bottom of the plate and have the vape come up through which is funny because it's like, you know, chicken wings or whatever, and it smells like cotton candy. We're going to move since we can't get the light into the position we need it in, we're going to move the camera and the couch into the position we need it in.
And these are the things that happen. Marianne wants to amend something on the writing here for the event. Go ahead, Marianne.
Oh, on the elements, when we're writing, we have someone look over the script, like 3 or 4 people look over to make sure that we have the
Wanna walk it this
correct line of dialogue. And as a writer, I try to put the line in 2 or 3 times if I can, if it fits. So have someone else read your script to make sure you have the prop and the line of dialogue and the correct character name. You just make sure that you have that, because that will take away points.
It'll disqualify or take away points right on that if you're not using the right thing.
Did you do that for the script? Did you put a required line in already?
Who wants to do a 48 this
We
year?
got
Who's going
enough
to wants to do their first one? Anybody? Hands up. Okay, you're going to try your first one. What are you hoping to learn here? What do you want Mike to make sure he covers? Give me your name.
Hi, I'm Marie Louise Alderton. I've never done it, and I want to see the process and be part of it. Sounds exciting.
Do you want to direct, produce one? Do you want to be in one? What do you want to do in the 48?
Whatever you need help with.
So you have an able body right here. And when needs help, we've got someone right here.
And she's awesome. I've
And
worked
she's
with her.
awesome. James, you ever done one? You ever done a 48, James? You ever been on a set at a 48? What do you, audio-wise, what do you want your producers to know if you're doing that? Is there something that's good to know from an audio standpoint? Because you're going to throw, I got 15 people and they all need to talk. I mean, what do you want them to know? Because James is probably the preeminent audio guy in town. So quickly, what do you think is a good thing for the producers and directors to know from a sound point?
Well, for me, sound is more than half the film. So one of the important things for a producer on a 48 is to have the sound crew prepared ahead of time for whatever might happen. And that means have more than just one boom available to record sound. When I'm working on a project, I body mic everybody and I have a boom. So I'm covered both ways. That does add time in post. So you need to have a good sound mixer who can give a decent audio mix to camera. And what I do is I'll do one channel of an audio mix of the body mics, and the other channel will be the boom. So I've got those two channels covered, and that way that speeds up editing a little bit, because sometimes you want the sound that comes from the boom. Other times you need the better presence from the body mics. So it just gives that flexibility, but you've got to be prepared for that. You've got to have at least some preparation.
Can we put
Otherwise,
his key,
you'll get what you
wrap
get.
his key around the other side of the couch?
So true,
Because
very
it would be
true.
looking like
That is the key to doing, it's the key to doing any of these productions, right? But that's a key to doing a 48 is preparation, planning. I work with a number of audio guys, and last month learned a valuable lesson. I told my sound guy, Ron, I said, Ron, it's okay, I'm only going to have two, it's just two guys. It's just two people we're going to be miking, okay? Not a problem in my mind, it's two folks. The problem I didn't foresee was that because it was such a massive shoot, 30 crew members and cast and thousands in trailers, trailers were over here, 300 feet away from where the scene was. So you had your makeup trailer and your wardrobe trailer, and then he had to mic them up. And sometimes the director would go, oh, I'm going to move them over here. I decided to do a shoot over here. Well, Ron's running over there to mic them up, one guy. And then they decide, okay, now we have to hustle back here and re-mic the next set of actors. It's one guy. Forgetting, my bad, forgetting that there's a distance between them that he has to go. So I'm saying, Ron, how soon will sound be up? He's like, it's just one guy. I'm one guy. You know, and when your audio guy goes that, at that point, your audio guys really are generally mellow, but when they start going, I'm just one guy, that's when you know, just back it off, let your sound guy do his thing, you've made an error. Should have been he should have had an A2, and he didn't, and that's a bad thing on him, and he mentioned at the end, he didn't think he needed it, and generally you wouldn't have, but the distance cried to that. So you got to think of those things going forward, okay? Sound is important, but sound takes time. Miking someone properly takes time, okay? Get a boom person if you have at all. One guy doing it all is hard, but a boom guy is valuable, you know? Having a boom guy do it properly is valuable. Marianne's husband has learned over the years doing it as a boom guy, and he's become pretty good at it. So sound takes time, but sound is so critical to it, so remember that. Hang on a second. Hang on. Who has a question? Oh, okay. Other mic there, if you could, sir.
Hello.
Flying in here. Here we go. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm David. Can you just talk about the sound equipment that you're using today?
Yes.
Yes, he can.
The plan was to do again, the point of this thing is to show that you can do it with a small crew and a small cast and very limited resources. So the plan was to use my shotgun mic alone plugged directly into the camera. I don't know if you heard that, but James Allberger just had a heart attack.
Hey, he's old. Let's don't go saying stuff like that. He's not that old.
But this is a run and gun small shoot, so we're managing that as best we can. Because we are shooting in this, with all of this, we ran audio to a mixing board, and one leg is going out to their mixing board out there, and the other leg is coming back to the camera. So it's, my microphone is a Sennheiser shotgun microphone. It's approximately 40 years old. I got it at a pawn shop in LA 20 years ago, 18 years ago. So it's, yeah. And I've taken it to, you know, when you go to trade shows and there's a Sennheiser booth, I take it to the Sennheiser booth, and the guy invariably goes, oh yeah, we can't kill those things. People still use them. Yeah. So that's what we're using. Just one shotgun and hoping it works.
That's the ME60, 66, I think?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. You had a question?
Yeah, well,
Hang on.
just, I don't know. I was in the back, so I don't know how much.
Like me? Hit me, Tommy. Hello, Tom. Are we on?
That's good. I hope I'm not repeating myself. I don't know how much you talked about equipment, as you know, knowing your equipment as opposed to what kind of equipment you have. There's always this push to like get the latest equipment, get the best equipment, and that's always great. But in my experience, it's always more important than the equipment that you're using is knowing how to use it, and I mean on a technical level. I've seen people who can shoot far better with an iPhone than someone who has a 4K if they don't know what they're doing. And then on top of that, it's much more important to know how to compose a shot or know what you're listening to for sound than it is to know how to use your equipment. I say that with sort of a caveat. You don't want to get on set the morning of your 48 and be fumbling around with your equipment because you haven't practiced with it beforehand, especially if you're using something new. Using new stuff is cool. Use new stuff. But make sure you know how to use it and what all the bells and whistles are before you get on set, because that's going to cost you a boatload of time.
And one of the things our team has done consistently is we rehearse our processes so that we know what things take and how long it takes. One year we shot with a red camera and color graded all of our footage on set and then sent the files to the editor. And although the editor complains about not getting the footage earlier, that film turned out awesome. Okay, so Christine, can I have you come out?
We have one comment over here. Stand by while she comes out. Go ahead, Jane.
One quick question, Michael.
Yes?
There's often this idea that you can fix it in post, and that you can especially fix audio in post. You'll just do a quick ADR. Yeah, exactly. That was the reaction I was actually looking for. It's easier to get good sound in the field than it is to fix it. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, anything you can do on set, you very, very, very much should do on set. Fixing in post is a cliche, it's a joke. If you have any capability of solving a problem on set, you should do that. We're flopping that shot over there. We're going to shoot both singles in one direction, and I'm already flipping out about it because I don't know what the unintended consequences are going to be of doing that. And so my brain is already like, yeah.
Yeah, right. You're Michael Brueggemeyer. Nothing bugs you. Hang on one second. I'm going to fill out James, then ask you your question. Go ahead, James. What's your comment?
Okay, another comment on two things on the audio. With ADR, most actors are not familiar with ADR, so that process takes a lot more time than it would for a professional who understands the process and can really work with it. The second thing is when using a shotgun mic or a boom mic, the trick on using a boom is to get the mic as close to the actor as possible without being in the shot. So you've got to make sure you coordinate with your DP to make sure you have the right boom line and no shadows. And if you've got multiple actors on set, that can be tricky because
Are we out?
sometimes the room has to move.
Okay, we're good. No.
To pick up both of
This-
the actors
this
as
is
they're in
like-
dialogue. With this shot, it's going to be fairly straightforward. You've got two actors close together, positioning the boom correctly, balance between the two actors will get a decent sound.
Okay, got that? And a question over here, go ahead. Your name?
Cherry, and I had a question for Mike.
Mhm.
Do you find that keeping your cast small for the 48 is a better choice than having like a huge cast?
I'm a bad example of that.
True.
We have a group of actors on our team who are basically family, and if I don't include them, they'll kill me. But they're also all wonderful. I try to make a story between two people. That's what works emotionally, and from a directorial standpoint, I know I can accomplish that. That's my goal, to have a story between two people. That doesn't mean that there aren't other parts in there, but like I'm looking forward to how this works out because it's just two people and nobody else. But from a story standpoint, I'm aiming for two people and everybody else is just adding in.
Two points to that real quick, and then I'll ask another question.
Hello.
Listen to your sound. Put on some headphones. Guys, just because your meters are bouncing doesn't mean you have good sound, right? How many of you have done that? Like, hey, meters are moving, I'm fine. Man, you get back and it was something else. It's the wrong mic. Listen to your sound. Be sure to listen. Monitor it. That's why you have a little headphone jack on there. Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, I've been a team lead for
What?
several, the 48. I'm an actor, so. Thank you. I think, I don't know, whatever. But I always turn it over to the director, when we start, and I found that whatever equipment you have, the chemistry on your team is really important. We've had some teams that actors turn into directors, and it's just turned into a fiasco. And so when you start a 48, you need to tell everybody what their job is and what their job isn't. And you really need to, because you only have the 48 hours.
Can we get more poop out of
Once
that?
it starts,
More output? Yeah.
Somebody's doing something else, like an actor trying to direct, it's kind of delicate, because you don't want to piss them off either.
It's a
You,
switch.
you are correct, and I'll address that actually in two ways. I do a number of AD work, and actually on set, to your point, have as many actors as you want, but you have to have somebody who can wrangle them, and somebody who will tell them where to be at the right time, and how much you need to do, and dress so it takes it off the director. If you're going to have a big crew, a big act cast, then you need someone to handle that. Don't think you can do it all on set. Okay, Mike has been very practiced with the team and the Amalgamated Grommets, right? Very practiced, so they know the rules. They know that Mike's the guy, right? But then he usually has someone else pushing him on that set, because Mike will take all the time in the world, I've seen it, to get it done. He needs someone to push him, because he's not thinking time. So it's important, have as many as you need cast-wise, but have someone who's going to push them. Have someone who's going to drive them and wrangle them so you're not having to do that. And don't be afraid of ticking them off sometimes, okay? Because you got to get it done. You got to establish that hierarchy and not be afraid. And that can be hard. That absolutely can be hard, but it's important to do that. Robert has a question. Robert?
Yeah, hi. What are the aperture and the ISO settings you're using for a shot like this?
We are at ISO 200, and our aperture is as wide open as we can get it. We're going through a speed booster on this Nikon lens, so it's a Nikon to Micro Four Thirds adapter, and that's probably about a f2 equivalent.
So the technical term
that a
is
whole lot better.
WFO.
Yeah.
For those who wanted
Are you
to
okay
know,
with that?
that's, I won't say that on camera, but it's open. It's wide open. And questions? Any other questions going forward? You can see the shot developing. Hang on, coming back here. Stand by.
Aiden?
Surya, is
takes-
that right?
Oh, are you going to
This is
set a
Surya.
flag
Go
for
ahead,
this?
Surya. We have a
Oh,
question
lens-
from
lenser?
Surya.
Okay.
In a film this short, how often are you looking to like change the perspective of your camera?
When I'm editing, I turn my brain off and watch the movie. And when I'm sick of looking at this shot, then I cut. The story should tell you when to cut. That's a terrible answer, but
Well, I guess he's also asking, I mean, on a 48, you're going to get a wide and a tight, you're going to get cross shots, or you're going to get big coverage,
We're
I mean,
doing-
that kind of thing?
yeah,
Right.
we're doing a two-shot. We're doing a over the shoulder and a close-up of each angle. So we're going to get 5 angles of this scene. I'm saying that now. When we get close to lunch, it'll be 3 angles of this scene. That's
Yes.
very, very common.
That's very common, yeah.
Particularly, I mean, the first year that we did this, I wrote out a very detailed shot list, and then we built a set until 7 p.m. on the shoot day. And I looked at the shot list and went, okay, let's just get a wide shot for the first half. I mean, we were just
because
jettisoning shots.
The misnomer of the 48 is you don't have 48 hours to shoot it. You can, but then you're going to miss everything. So you have a less time to shoot it, and Mike's exactly correct to working backwards. You know that. By the time he's essentially, the editor's already got all the footage where he sits down at 9 a.m., right? So you're shooting for less than 24 hours pretty much, or thereabouts to get this, right? So keep that in mind. Any other questions while Mike throws fog into David's face? Always good to let your actors know you're fogging.
Yeah, I did by shooting them in the face with the fog.
This is true. 200. ISO is 200. Stand by, heading over here. What's your frame rate, Mike? You 2397?
2398.
2398. I shouldn't talk to you because you're wearing a Michigan hat. I'm from Purdue. However, I will grant that you don't know a lot, so go ahead.
Can you talk about camera movement on a budget?
Back against the wall.
And what kind of camera movement is going to go
The
on
table.
today?
Move the table back against the
So
wall.
the question, Mike, is camera movement on a budget. Great question. I can answer the first question. He has a slider, so you're going to see that. That's some movement. But what else you got?
I have the world's cheapest gimbal that works 40% of the time. I don't shoot handheld. And what's the reason I don't shoot handheld?
You suck at it.
Everybody else does.
Oh, sorry.
How many people have you seen with DSLR rigs? Okay, as soon as DSLRs came out, the first thing I did in my workflow was tell myself that my DSLR, which gets images like a movie camera, my DSLR is now 90 pounds and I have to treat it that way. So any shots that I got were on a dolly. I mean, at one point when I first bought the camera, I went to Big 5 the day before a shoot and bought a skateboard and drilled a hole up through it and just mounted the camera on it. And I got some beautiful shots that I guarantee you have seen on air, on TV, with a skateboard and a DSLR.
Alpine fence.
I avoid handheld. I avoid, I will use camera movement to further the story. For example, in this story, the opening shot is going to happen with movement coming into it. And then there's some camera movement that happens during the scene to get from one transition to another. I want to do a camera move on one particular transition where we do the same exact move, good luck, Robin, that we can cut in between halfway through. All right, so we're going to start this shot. Can you bring that into here? We're going to start this shot with these little sparkle things in the foreground just because they're pretty and I like it and I wanted to show you guys. And take it up so the beads are right in front of the mat
Anybody here
box.
ever worked with Christine and David other than Michael? Anybody here? Anybody here friends? Robin?
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, it's an apology. So we want to thank you very much once again for being here. Christine, if you've done a number of 48s, what would you like your director, producers to know that can help an actor as you go through your preparation on this very, very tough day?
Communication is really important. Make sure that everybody's on the same page, has an idea of the same type of film that they're making. Everybody's getting the final copy of the script so that they all know what they're working on, that the actors have time to run lines together when they're not on set so that they have kind of a flow going and it just makes it easier.
Okay. Communication, huge. same page. This goes back to you. You know, have, hey, my actors are going to direct, and I'm going to direct, and I'm going to produce. And so it's the same page, everybody on the same page.
Okay, so the direction that I wrote to you guys, I just basically told you how I was seeing this script, and you read the script. In this particular scene, this is idyllic. I want you to look strong and handsome, and I want you to look happy and charmed and sweet. And we're going to sneak the microphone in just as close as we can. I want this to be quiet and intimate. Once we don't get the audio, if we can't get the audio good on quiet and intimate, then I'm going to have them project more. But I want to try and get it where they're having this quiet moment together, and I want to capture that quietness. So we'll try that before we have to invariably have you project. You know how the scene is broken up into pieces? We're just going to do the first chunk, and then we'll do the second chunk, then we'll do the third chunk, if indeed there is a third chunk. I should probably have a copy of the script with me. That would be a good idea.
Both actors are speaking in the scene, right?
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So they're both speaking.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
So to that point, because you're getting ready to shoot?
Yep.
Okay. To that point, one thing you want to do, and this is as James had mentioned, right? Your boom mic needs to be as close to everybody as possible, right? So right before Mike shoots, he'll probably drop it in and find a frame line and give it just a breath so that he knows it's in between and you have enough headroom based on where they're shooting. And Mike, are you shooting this super wide with the? Are you going to protect for top and bottom, or are you going to use that space? See that black, or is that dead?
I am, although
when you finish,
although we're shooting this, this is being photographed, I'm going to mask this in post-production to the 235 mask. So I'm just going to add a mask in post-production over that. Because I hate the word cinematic because there's no definition to it in cinematography, but it makes it feel more like a feature film to have it with the bars.
So Mike will ultimately, or your audio person would ultimately lower that mic, find your frame. How many of you guys do that? How many young guys do that? You have sound, right? You have a boom mic, and you don't just hold it up, right? And okay, we got a boom in the scene, let's go, to be safe, because you don't know where you're going to go with your camera. You're going to lower that until the camera guy says you're in my shot, and then you're going to pull it back out, and that's your frame line, and now you're going to have much better sound because you're going to hear more actor over the background, right? So that's what you want, more presence.
We can pop off the
matte box
and get close to lens.
Oh, I don't mind that. I like that. Good. All right. Do you guys want to rehearse one? Okay.
Do you want me to enter?
Yes, please. Get out. Okay, so rehearsal's up. And let's just go through the first section. Is that okay? Okay. Rehearsal's up and action. Dolly.
I've been thinking about this ride we went on. It's been 3 years for me. I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
Honestly, I'm proud of me too. And I'm grateful for you, for this, for my life.
This is to celebrate a whole new life.
Cassie,
It was my dad's.
I don't.
3 years. And there's no looking back now.
And cut. And cut. Okay, so first things first, I want to Robin, give me a framework. I can see it on the monitor. See that, everybody? There it is. Okay, and I'm going to sneak that over this way.
The boom.
So you can see how you can see how much closer we got that mic now, which will help on some of this feedback as well. That's part of the problem you were hearing. We're also probably gonna have Tom maybe cut the sound of the house at that point.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the other part we're hearing.
And then
so Tom, if you hear that,
I hate to
can you,
say
is this mic? Yeah, here you go. So Tom, if you hear that, when we hear roll camera, cut the sound of the house so we don't get that feedback. Is that good? Tom's got that, Tom? Tom Kinnaman is the master behind the glass. He's kind of the Wizard of Oz guy back here. So you can say hi to him at the break.
I didn't know this. Okay.
Actually, I'm helping her.
It's a blueberry muffin.
What? Whoa. That was like the wizard.
I brought you a blueberry muffin.
Honestly, you can Hollywood for me.
3 pieces.
We only have 19
3 pieces of
takes.
muffin.
And give me a light level. How's that? How's that, Robin?
It's good.
Okay.
You want just a little hotspot, a little bit of edge on his hair.
On
Probably
her.
down just
This
a
is
bit.
her
That's
keyboard.
Got it.
Christine, look at David.
Yep, much better.
Okay. Okay, so look where he's going to hand hold this light during takes, which is going to be awesome. If you think about it, where he's holding this light is Rembrandt lighting. If you remember your beginning photography class, Rembrandt lighting is a light that's 45 degrees up and 45 degrees out, and casting a shadow of the nose down here and blah blah blah. So he's lighting her in a way that illuminates. Can you move the camera just a tiny bit so I can see your face? He's illuminating her so that we see her eyes and her mouth, but it doesn't illuminate the front of her too much. We want to see contrast. We see contrast in life. If we have a fill light here, and I'm going to turn this off and on so you can see what that's doing. But we like to see contrast in life. So we don't want to have a whole lot of light from this side. We want to figure out where the actors' faces are going to be and light them. All right?
We have another little light coming in for these guys, because
Okay.
otherwise they're dead.
Awesome. I have.
Mike, I believe Mike Tao has coined a phrase for those. Can you give us what that is, please, for your foreground elements?
We used these on a shoot a while ago, and they were giving me crap, and so they nicknamed this rig the Brueggemeyer because it's little sparkly beads hanging from a tennis racket. It looks stupid as hell on a set, but it ends up being very, very pretty.
Any idea why they might have chose a tennis racket to hang it from, other than that's all what Mike had in his garage? Any ideas? Any thoughts why a tennis racket versus anything else? Any other ideas? Anybody got a guess? My guess is that you can add depth by hanging them at different levels. What do I get? Do I get
You're
something?
gonna hand hold
Anything?
as well?
Something from the grab? Thank you. See, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
Right there. And does that color correct at all?
There's an orange.
And you can pick up
filter in the back.
a tennis racket at a
Orange
garage
racket.
sale for like a nickel. So go for that.
So let me have you guys just give me an audio level. So go ahead and talk like you're going to talk.
I've been thinking about this road that we've been on. It's been 3 years for you today.
Can we turn the house off, please?
Honestly, I've been thinking about the sound and how it's been feeding back. And how, for the last 3 years, how have you heard us that feedback?
You're a nerd.
Okay, so keep going.
We'll just keep this between you and me, Robin.
I am so proud of you, Arthur. 3 years clean and sober.
Where am I hearing
The speaker is on the monitor.
Yeah, turn it on.
And this is how we go from 5 shots to 3, by the way. There it is.
That's it. Keep going.
Okay, so how are your audio levels?
Audio levels are, go ahead and talk.
Honestly, I'm proud of me too.
Bouncing up at 6 when he talks.
Okay.
Getting closer to 6. And bring it down closer to 12 because he's talking quietly.
Oh, I can talk
So
loud.
he's hot.
If it's not getting to 0, I want it.
Go
My
ahead.
attitude on audio is if it's peaking, it's bad. But if we never get to peaking, it's good.
Define peaking.
The red light on the camera. Getting to.
James, I think James needs to address this real quick. Can we have some sound back in the house? If he hasn't. Okay. Otherwise, James project. I don't know if anyone's ever told you that.
You ready?
Okay, on your camera audio meters, your digital meters,
Just a taste, or you want
0 is the very
Just a
top. If you're hitting 0 on your digital meters, you're clipping, you're gonna lose data. So you wanna average your record levels right in that -12 to -6 area, which is about where your meter changes from green into yellow. Occasionally, you can spike into the red, but try to avoid that. Usually, on average, when you're recording your audio on set, average around -12 to -6, someplace in there. When you're actually in post-production and mastering, the audio is going to be closer to -18 on the final audio mix that goes out. And that, on a technical term, that comes out to around -23 LUFS, which is a technical thing for broadcast audio levels.
But James, my camera has an auto setting. Can I just put it there?
Yeah, you take your chances.
What's the problem with auto, James?
Well, auto is usually going to incorporate a compressor limiter, which is going to affect the overall balance between your actors and noise level in the room. It's, if you're just doing run and gun and it's a really quick, fast shoot, you don't have any other options, then fine. But generally, try to have some manual control over your sound.
Yeah, so just, as a quick tip for those who are doing these things, monitor a channel, write a channel if you have to, and maybe put your second channel in auto so you got something, right? But make sure you're monitoring a channel and ride one channel. Tom has a philosophy on sound that's different than most of other people, so we'll talk to him about that later. Michael?
So I'm going to give a little last bit of direction, and then we're going to shoot. David, don't be expecting her to have this wonderful moment. You're just sitting on the couch reading, and when she comes in, it's like, hey, she spends a lot of time on the couch with you, so this is not a big deal until it becomes a big deal. Human beings avoid expressing a lot of emotion, so I want it to seep out of you. I don't want you to come in with the attitude of, this is meaningful and wonderful. I just want you to kind of come in with, just kind of understated, and when it comes time to be more emotional, it'll be more powerful because we have the counterpoint. All right? So let's try this.
Fog it up.
Yes, please.
Mr. Brueggemeyer.
Yes?
What would be the set protocol in general for these folks looking to work first time, and how you would call camera, sound, action? What could you demonstrate that for us?
I'm going to do that right now.
Is that the first thing?
Okay, so we're going to wait for this to even out and diffuse a tiny bit. Okay, here we go. And roll camera, please. If we had sound, we would say roll sound, roll camera. And then we would have a slate, but we don't doing that today because we don't have enough people. And action.
I've been thinking about this ride that we've been on. It's been 3 years for you today. Arthur, I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
Honestly, I'm proud of me too. You know, I'm grateful for you. For this. For my life now. I love you, baby. So much.
I love you too. This is to celebrate a whole new life.
Cassie, wow.
That was my dad's.
I don't,
3 years. And there's no looking back now.
Hi. Lovely. Anybody notice that the fog dissipated before we started actually rolling? Yeah, which means that now we're going without fog. Because if we can't rely on it being all the way through the take, then there's no point in having it. All right, so we're going to do that again, primarily because of the fog. The performances were lovely. Well done. Yes?
I noticed the eyes were pretty dark for both of them.
I'm going to have Aiden move his light a little bit to capture Christine's. When David looks at her, that's the moment I want his eyes to be lit up. I'm not sweating him looking forward. So Christine, can you hop in there for a moment? And Aiden, come down with the light. Okay, up a tiny bit. And that's a good spot. I can see a little bit of something in there. Okay, I'm standing in front of the monitor that you all came here to watch. Sorry. Okay, so take 2 is up. This time without diffusion. I want to dim that light down, don't I? How's that, Robin? Looks good. Okay. All right, here we go. Roll camera.
Camera speaks.
And whenever you're ready, Christine.
I've been thinking about this ride that we've been on. It's been 3 years for you today. Arthur, I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
honestly, proud of myself. You know, and I'm grateful to you. And for this, for my life now. I love you, baby, so much.
I love you too. This is to celebrate a whole new life together.
Cassie. Wow.
It was my dad's.
I don't...
3 years. And there's no looking back now.
Cut. Yes.
You notice in both tapes that David's foot was jiggling.
And I think it was inside the frame. And
Got a room of
is that
script
a problem?
supervisors.
I'm going to treat it as a post-production problem and fix it in
We'll
post.
fix it in post. Yes.
And there you go.
I saw that too, and I thought, what a lovely post-production problem that'll be. Yeah, and your shoe's super reflective, so it's just jumping off frame. Okay, so we're going on to your close-up.
Hey, Michael.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about continuity from a very basic?
Yes. Ignore continuity. I'm sorry. it's good to have continuity, but the thing that you should do is have a talk with your actors. If your actors are inexperienced, you have to tell them that their job is to do the same thing over and over and over exactly. That means that when a hand moves, it means when they take a step, they take a bite, they have to do it at the same point in the script. So they should write those notes down into the script and rehearse it that way. That being said, when you get into the edit suite, you tell the story and ignore the continuity. Mike Tao does a presentation on continuity, which is hysterical. He takes a scene from Goodfellas, which is this awesome scene between Joe Pesci and someone else, Ray Liotta. And they're having this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and it's amazing. And you're like, wow, that's so awesome. And then you start looking at it for the continuity, and his hand has a drink, and then a cigarette, and then a drink, and then a fork, and then a drink. You know, if the story's good and you're telling it right, nobody cares. And that's my attitude as a director.
That's not my attitude as a script supervisor.
As a script supervisor, you're not going to like working with me because I'm not going to care. I mean, honestly, script supervisors have come to me and said, you know, on that take, he moved his hand on the wrong line. And my response was, I don't care. The performance was amazing. And in the end, it's my call. So, tough.
Hey, Mike, real quick.
Yes.
Start on David for his OTS. Probably cheat a little bit this way so we can get back into that corner and not see.
Yes, please. Okay. You want to change? Let's rotate the couch.
Rotate the couch a little, opened up, or that way. You want to be more across your shoulder.
Rotating the couch this way so we're getting shoulder.
Yep. Yeah, get out of here, Mark.
Okay, Marianne had.
Keep that right there and stand there.
I think it's on. Marianne had wanted to add something about the actors and producer relationship. Marianne.
I always have something to say. You asked Christine a question and she answered, but one thing that came to my mind when you asked her that question is the one thing that we strive for on set is treat it as if you're going to a paid job if you're doing the 48. Don't show up late. You wouldn't show up late on a regular set. Don't do that. Don't drink on set. Treat it as if you're getting paid and be a professional. Act out like you would if you were on a real movie set, because you know what? A lot of people you're working with are on real movie sets every day, and they will remember how you behave on the 48. And they'll say, I'm going to call that person back. I really like their work ethic. Or I'm never working with that a-hole again because I don't like their work ethic. Just food for thought.
Right. And when she says don't drink on set, she's not talking about water. Drink water. Stay hydrated. It's that alcohol stuff. Don't drink that part. Any questions at this point? Any other questions? You get to pick the brain of a man who's won 6 of the 12. I could be incorrect of the submissions to this. Is that right?
Yep.
I don't know. When you win that many, who cares? But so now's your time. Ask questions. Especially you young folk. You young whippersnappers who are trying to come out and do this stuff.
Another question for Mike. What is the shortest script you've ever worked on and the longest, like in page-wise, for the 48?
For the 48, this is going to be a 4-page script, I think. The shortest was about 6 pages. The longest was 10 pages. The 10-page one, we ended up shooting all of it and editing all of it, and I go into the edit suite, and it's fantastic. It's 10.5 minutes long. And the limitation for the 48-hour film project is 4 to 7 minutes. So my very first job was to go through and cut out every line that didn't drive the story forward, which was, in this case, a comedy, all of the jokes. Yeah, it was like punching myself over and over and over again. But there was still enough funny left in it that it worked. But the 10-minute version is a whole lot better than the 7-minute version, but the 7-minute version, as a matter of fact, that's one of the ones that it won San Diego and then was selected for the Cannes Film Festival.
Is that the Eris?
The Eris Lethal, yes. The Eris Lethal, it's also, the original title was The Fatal Heir. And the reason that is the title is because it was a comedy about a beautiful heiress who happens to pass gas a lot. So fatal air, the air is lethal. Potty humor.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question, go ahead.
How do you check your focus? Is there an expanded focus on the black magic?
So you can turn on focus peaking, and the monitor here as well has some sort of contrast-based or slightly different color focus modes. I can turn it on. It's going to look this lovely green color, probably.
There it is. That's sexy. The green part.
Brings the green out of your beard. So you can see as I rack focus to back of the mirror. So and it's really just a simple contrast. It's looking for those very sharp contrasty areas.
Other questions, technical or philosophical or anything? Yes, hang on, coming back here. Yes, sir?
Can you talk about the camera settings you're using now and why?
David's shoulder. Yeah.
Yes.
Robin, what camera settings are you using and why are you using them? What is it you're looking to know about?
Can you flag that off of this?
Depth of field and lens choice?
Depth of field requires a calculation based on your aperture opening and your focal length. I can't do that on the fly for you. Essentially, we are wide open. This is a 1.8 lens.
1.4.
1.4. So it's a 1.4 aperture lens. We have it open as much as possible. It's also going through a speed booster, which helps get us even shorter, narrower depth of field. And then it's just based on how far we are away from the talent that changes.
It's certainly a subjective thing and comes from the director driving what lens he wants to use, he or she want to use at that location and how much depth of field they want to capture, which as you'll talk to these guys, these lenses that you get, and yes, you can buy lenses off of Craigslist. I've bought a bunch of lenses off of Craigslist, but if you can get a faster lens, the advantage of a faster lens, meaning that it shoots.
Mark, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Mark, can I interrupt you? I'm going to have them, hang on one sec, guys. This is his key light. We're going to put diffusion on it and move it closer so it's a little bit softer. See how you have hard shadows in there, hardish. It's a relatively soft light, but we're going to make it even softer. So go ahead. And then once they get that in there, and bring that down on the post for me. David has relatively deep set eyes, so we're going to sneak that light down until it's, there you go. And can you double that diffusion? How's that for exposure, Robin? Okay. We're getting a tiny little highlight in his eye. David, can you move your eyeballs out further? Thank you. And then now he's gonna place this black wrap in to take that light off of the background. So now we have that nice change in texture.
And we can dim down the window light a little if you want.
Should we bring it down?
Yeah, let's see what happens.
The value or the stick?
Dim it down.
Value. Value. He's asking value or stick.
Yep.
Stick meaning the post that it sits on. Up and down on the post or up and down on the stick means you're raising and lowering the light. Up and down on the value means dimming it up and down. I'm liking that.
Yep.
I wish the fog would stay.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready?
Yeah. Do you want one thing? Do you want any camera motion on this? Again, just following her as she sits.
Sure, and feel free to drift a tiny bit. Tiny little bit of movement.
Do you want the aperture booming in? So if there's key in her.
I do not, no, we do not need that.
We don't want a little bit of an edge light on him to match the other shot because he was pretty strongly edge light.
No, because it's just going to blend into his key light from this angle.
You want me to show you? Audition?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's
Come on,
audition that
Robin,
light.
that's continuity. We don't care about that.
Well, but I'm the DP. I'm looking at you. Like we dimmed it's just a little taste of something. Minimum, wherever you can get to. Too much, Mike?
It just, it
Too much? Okay.
looks like a soap opera. The top light. Okay, so are we ready?
What's that? Okay, that's all fixable. Okay.
Are we ready?
Yep, I just got my headphones, which are here.
Oh, that reminds me, I have an extra cable on here that's unnecessary.
Oh, because you're not getting a boom up. Yep.
Oh, that was good.
And our monitor's down.
I know there's a plug in there. There it is. Okay. All right. So we're starting from 1. So Christine, go ahead and stand up. And I wrapped the watch that he pulls out. I got in New York. It's a fake Rolex, $20. I wrapped the box in such a way that it could be easily unwrapped and rewrapped, and it always looks the same. The ribbon, the knot never comes undone, so we don't have to worry about continuity on that. Okay.
Are you going to do cutaways to the watch?
We can, depending on how many other shots I'm going to cut out. Okay. We ready?
Camera's ready.
Roll camera, please.
Camera speeds.
And I should pay at least a little attention to audio, right? David, look where Christine's going to be. How's that for frame edge? Can I come down lower?
Good.
Okay. Good luck, guys. Are we speeding?
Camera's still speeding.
Okay. And whenever you're ready, Christine.
I've been thinking about this ride we've been on. It's been 3 years for you today. Arthur, I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
No, honestly, I'm proud of me too. And I'm grateful for you, for this, for my life now. I love you, baby, so much.
I love you too. This is to celebrate a whole new life.
Cassie. Wow.
It was my dad's.
I don't.
3 years. And there's no looking back now.
Cut. Lovely. You know what I just screwed up? We're going to do the wide shots all the way through.
Son of a bitch.
That's how it works in the 48 hours. So let's do these shots all the way through and come back and get the wide. Okay, so second section, please. That's not the script.
Oh, that second section. I was like, in the alley? Okay. So this, whoops.
We can, if we have time. But we just missed, I screwed up and didn't get the wide shot of the second and third sections of the scene.
Oh, I see.
So, thank you. So we're going to do the second and third sections on David's shot. Okay, we ready?
I'll try not to do all this.
Are you guys ready?
Can I see just the last?
You can keep it in your hands. This is a close-up. Just don't make any noise with it.
And are we matching, where do we start matching with the other shot? Because I'm going to need to take note of framing as I drift along and follow him. So matching this shot to the alley shot.
I could literally have it down here. You could just look down if you do.
No, I just needed to see the first part. There were times.
There were times.
He says, or she says, there were times when I didn't think we'd be here, but we made it, right? We're here. And she says, we're here. And at that moment, he's going to lean down to kiss her head, and then he's going to look up and out.
Okay.
Over this way.
Got it.
Like you see something, and then in the next scene in the alley, we're going to cut to him looking up, and there's going to be headlights flashing past. So in theory, that's going to cut together. All right?
So where do you want me to look exactly precisely?
Pardon me?
Where do you want me to look exactly precisely?
I'm going to cut at the beginning of your turn, and
Okay.
then what?
Give me a chance to freeze there, if
Sure.
you can, as long as it doesn't break the scene.
Sure.
And then, so, I'll tell everybody what I'm gonna do. For one, could you take a measurement, please, for me, of lens to his face, so we can reproduce that?
She's going to say, there were times when I didn't think we'd be here, but we made it, right? We're here. And then she nestles into him, we're here.
About 80.
About 80?
Mhm.
Okay, to his nose.
79.
So, yeah, perfect. Okay.
Your nose
Somebody
is
write
nice.
that down, please. Please hold my breath.
Really?
Yes, please.
You know what they
So
say,
I'm
big nose.
trying to get some measurements so I can reproduce these two shots as close as possible when we reset camera on the other side. We're just sort of working with the space on this first shot, but after lunch we need to match what we're doing here. Luckily our camera height's not going to change. We're not going up and down on tripods. So we're measuring the distance from the camera to our talent there. Our camera height's going to stay the same, so that should be the same. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the thirds guides on the screen so I can match up where I'm putting his eye or his nose, wherever it sort of works out with the framing. And then I'm also going to take a reference photo with my phone of what I see on the monitor. And then I can use that to A/B match what I'm doing on here versus next time.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. This is the second section, roll camera.
Camera's ready?
And whenever you guys are ready, action.
Speak.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to dinner to celebrate. There were times when I didn't think that we'd make it here. We made it, right? We're here. We're here.
Okay, let's reset and go one more time. Go ahead and cut.
Sorry. I think I messed up your hair.
At the end of that, just get comfortable. After you give her the kiss on the head, just get comfortable for a moment and then look up.
Okay.
Tell me when you're ready, Robin.
Putting the thirds up so we can see that.
noise.
Do you want me to?
Oh, thank you.
Do you want me to keep him looking in for the most part and then kind of slide over and do you want short side, long side, framing wise?
I would like the camera to be further to the right.
Copy that. So
Yeah.
traditional in looking into frame.
Yeah.
But then as he moves, just a little bit of a drift with him to lock onto that position when he looks out.
Yeah.
There.
Yes.
Okay.
You can do a little bit of a pan with them if you want, or
Yeah.
either lock off or pan, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Roll camera, please.
Camera speed.
On a slat.
And action, guys.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to celebrate.
Lost
And
monitor.
cut.
Camera's still rolling, but we lost monitor.
How'd you lose the monitor? Plugged into the same batteries and everything else.
It's got a blue signal, so it's just it's lost its actually live.
This is a 72.
It's 11 o'clock, Mike.
72-minute film festival.
Oh, I got you.
Is that?
I did that wrong.
Once we break for lunch,
720, not 72.
Up and down Grand Avenue here. Anybody familiar with Escondido? Okay, so you can ask these fine folks who will take you. For the geospatially challenged, it's out the door we came in. Turn right, turn right. A lot of restaurants down that away. Okay, it's a great vegetarian restaurant right across the street. So, she just nodded her head.
Speaking of food.
Madeline went,
Why not?
It's important. You're into that thing. But there is, so it's across the street, and you can have the burger bench, I think, is down that direction, and a number of things. Do you have a recommendation? Where would you send these folks?
Cute cakes.
For lunch?
There's some lunch options. There's like sandwiches and salads and stuff like that. So like it's a bakery, but there are some good.
It should be.
You could have a cake sandwich, I imagine. They could make that for you. Okay, I imagine if you wanted to do that. Where would you go, Maura?
I'd probably go to Felipe's. Get a little,
They have really
get
good
a nice
free
salad.
pizza at Felipe's.
Or a wedge of their all-cheese pizza. Just like that much cheese and that much, it's insane. So, great place for lunches. Any other lunch recommendations?
Mark.
Yes. Oh, here we go.
Oh, never mind. This is a different topic as to where to eat, but cannot underestimate the importance of feeding your crew. If you are crew or cast, bring water, but also if you're leading a team, make sure you have plenty of water on set. I know of some people who have come to set and there was no water, and you're shooting for sometimes up to 24 hours. You gotta feed and water your crew.
That is correct. That is, you can't say that enough. And one of the reasons I think the Grommets went to sort of chip in a little is because of that. Now they've gone too far, because I've been on sets with these guys, right? It's nuts. I mean, the crew just gathering, or you got to break them away from the craft services table where they have so much food. But treat your crew right. Have stuff. Have things. Just make it. I went to Costco, and under $50, you're getting muffins and some fruit and some water. Bring stuff. Treat them because they're donating their time. Treat them well. Buy a decent lunch. They have time. Decent lunch would be great.
I got a shoot to get done.
And
roll camera, please.
Camera speaks.
Okay, settle, please, and action.
After your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to dinner to
Hang on.
celebrate.
Let's kill the house sound, please.
Cutting.
Thank you. We can hear the microphone over the speakers. That's going to kill me in post. Thank you. Okay, roll camera.
Camera speaks.
And action.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to dinner to celebrate. There were times when I didn't think that we would make it here. But we made it, right? We're here. We're here.
Cut. That was it. That was
Freeze,
awesome.
David, Christine, freeze. Back in your position as well. Close as you can. I'm trying to get around.
You had your arm up.
Oh, sorry.
Playback.
Oh, so where was it here?
Okay. Let's switch to an 85 and get a single.
Yep.
Oh, let's do the next sequence.
Yeah, the rest of the sequence.
No. There's more of this angle that I forgot.
So coming back from.
Do you know where we are?
No.
So where are we starting from now? She may get a chance. Sharing her alley.
So that's what we just did.
No, there's a third part.
Oh, like the very, very last bit.
Yeah.
Little tiny section.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. He's just going to be admiring the watch. You ready? Roll camera.
Camera speaks.
Can you drift from the watch to him? He's not saying anything. I'm not sweating audio on this.
She wore long sleeves.
Let me do that again.
Can you lift the watch up a little higher?
Yeah, just let me know where you want it in frame.
Right there.
I can't
That's
see it.
good.
Okay.
And admire it. Move it around a little bit. There you go. And just kind of keep doing that. And Christine, look at the watch as well and show them, kind of, point out stuff on it. And don't block it from the camera, though. There you go. That was it. Give me one more little sweet moment, and Christine, kind of look up at him as well. Lovely. Cut. Now we're going to the 85 on this angle. And we're doing the whole thing again. And we're not cutting shots until we absolutely have to. 85 is here.
This is where your, whoever's got a run in the set for your 48, that might be your producer hopefully, will say, hey Mike, it's 11 o'clock.
And all's well.
Gotta keep moving, so that he knows what the time is. Because ultimately they gotta get it all done. But all you really need to do is say, hey, it's 11 o'clock, and he'll go, got it, and you've done it. He's aware, you don't keep harping until you need to.
And thank you for that.
That's it, that's all you do.
So right now I'm basically counting down in my head what we're gonna shoot, and I've already crossed her close-up off the list. I need her over the shoulder, but I can get away with just her close-up. So starting from the beginning, Christine, you're gonna walk into this. Doing that whole first scene again. David, can you look at where Christine would be? Are you good, Robin? That makes one of us. Okay. I have no idea what I'm doing. Here we go. Roll camera, please. And action.
I've been thinking about this ride we've been on. It's been 3 years for you today. Arthur, I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
Honestly, I'm proud of me too. And I'm grateful for you. For this, for my life now. I love you, baby. So much.
Yeah, I love you too. This is to celebrate a whole new life.
Cassie. Wow.
It was my dad's.
I don't...
3 years. And there's no looking back now.
And cut. How's the sound on that? What?
What did he say?
He doesn't have headphones on.
In case you didn't hear that, I said, how was sound? And he went, I didn't have headphones on. So take two? Pardon me? Yeah.
Yeah, I want to keep the focus sharp.
It's okay.
Okay.
Fond of my performance on that.
He wants to get the focus sharper. He felt like he drifted on the focus, and I would like for him to hear it. Yes, ma'am. For the 48 hours, how much do we really spend time shooting?
I mean, in this, like, setting up and shooting.
It's kind of like this. A lot of it is set up. We get everything squared away. We start shooting. We do a couple, 3 takes, and then we move on to coverage, and then we move to our next location. A lot of the stuff that we've done, I mean, there are a number of things that we've done. We've had company moves twice. Sometimes we find a location that we can use over and over again, and do different locations at the same place. Some things are all set into one place, but it's, in terms of shooting, it's a relatively small part of the day. It's mostly set up and driving. And
What's the most locations you've used?
most locations we've used for the list, we had Mission Bay, Belmont Park, another area of Mission Bay, and then Marianne's offices. And then we built a set at Marianne's offices, so kind of crazy. Okay, how are we doing?
Ready?
Okay. Yes?
There's no bars at the top and bottom.
I think we can either have the lines or the bars, and he needs the lines to match framing.
Oh, gotcha.
But when I'm looking at it, I know there's bars there. As a matter of fact, one of the things I was looking at earlier, part of his framing, I plan on just moving something up ever so slightly in the frame. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Roll camera.
Camera speeds.
And Christine, whenever you're ready.
I've been thinking about this ride we've been on. It's been 3 years for you today. Arthur, I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
Honestly, I'm proud of me too. And I'm grateful for you, for this, for my life now. I love you, baby. So much.
I love you too. This is to celebrate a whole new life.
Cassie. Wow.
It was my dad's.
I don't...
3 years. And there's no looking back now.
Cut.
Lovely. Racket. Could you hear that?
A little bit.
Sorry.
Sounds exist. Right, I'm going to put in atmospheric noise of birds chirping outside the window. And
Sweet.
There's a little bit of just kind of low-level stuff.
Yeah.
That we're hearing.
Crows, screaming rabbits.
So on to the second section.
Okay.
See you at the watch.
Which is basically Christine talking and him just reacting.
Okay, Michael, we have a question here in the back. Stand by.
Yes.
What?
And it's from Earl here.
How important is it to say quiet on set before the cameras, before you start? How important is
I'm just
that?
gonna grab a couple shots.
Before we start rolling, I don't. It's fine as long as we're not rolling. Once we're rolling, I expect everybody to hold perfectly still and.
But we usually say quiet on set before you start.
Yes.
So everybody knows.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of, people don't know that.
Yes. I will call that this way. Actually, yeah, you say quiet on set. You say settle. Settle means that whatever you're doing, stop doing it and stand still. Or find a place where you can be still for a while. If you're standing and your feet hurt, sit down, but get it done before we start the take. The other thing I'm doing, sometimes I'll say action, sometimes I'll say whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready is a courtesy to the actors for them to get themselves in the right emotional place to start. On the stuff this afternoon where they're both gonna be distraught, it's important for us to work around them in their performance. So they're gonna be doing their technique to get ready for that take, but I'm gonna say roll camera, and then whenever you guys are ready, go ahead. So that we're not rolling film, it's not expensive, so it's worth it to have them in the right place before they start. Okay, so ready?
FYI for you, I just grabbed some shots here of him looking at the watch, and just to give you another option in post.
Never ever do that again. Except if you see something good. Okay, here we go. This is the second section. And whenever you're ready, guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Quiet, please. So, and whenever you're ready.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to celebrate. There were times when I didn't know if we'd get here. But we made it, right? We're here. We're here.
Cut. Lovely.
No.
Okay. And then the next shot is just him looking at the watch. So if you already got that, we're good.
Yep.
Let's move back to the wide shot.
Yep. Copy that.
What lens were you on? Do you remember?
Originally that was on the
8, because I don't have the 24 with me.
Any other questions while we do a company move, or not company move, camera move here? Any other questions now that piqued your interest? Oh, stand by. Here we go. We got a question from John.
John, yeah, I have a question. I was at one of your classes, and they recorded the ambient sound, and they used that to eliminate that sound later in post. Can you explain that technique?
I could, but I can direct you to someone who can explain it even better than me. Well, maybe, but I'll give him an opportunity. Go ahead, James.
The front thing is
Okay,
wobbly.
the room tone is going to be used to fill in the holes. During the editing process, there are going to be breaks of silence during the different cuts. And that room tone is going to fill in that void to balance
Other
out
than
the
the-
natural sound in the scene. That
It's all
answer your
mine, but
question?
it's just because I'm nice. Nice.
Let's say that there's a hum of
I love a
air
dacquiri.
that you can barely hear. So you record that. I don't know if I'm getting this correctly, but it was a technique. And
I'm good.
we have in the room?
No, I'm good.
You record that, and then later in post, you use that to eliminate that sound.
Yeah. James will speak towards that again. Go ahead, James.
Okay, you're talking about using a noise source. Yeah, well, you're using the noise source to do a phase cancellation to remove it later on. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. There's software out there that is very sophisticated software for noise removal. I shot a film not too long ago at a 7-Eleven.
You got that.
And if you've ever been in a 7-Eleven, you know how loud the refrigeration compressors are. It's just like Noise City in those places. So, and I had 5 microphones open simultaneously for the scene, because there was a complex dialogue, and lots of room noise in that
Second part
area.
and the third part. It doesn't need to
Had I
match.
recorded just the room tone and tried to use that to cancel out room tone, it would have only done so much. It probably wouldn't have really worked very well. But I have software in my audio suite that
We need the
allows me
jewels.
to sample
We don't
that
need the
room
jewels.
tone, and then the software
We don't
does
need
the noise removal. So I was able to go through a few stages of that and effectively get the dialogue relatively clean. So then in post-production, I took the room tone of those air compressors and I was able to bring that back into the whole audio mix to create the ambience of
get it back
that
to live?
actual
I'm gonna
room,
take a picture of this.
but without it interfering or without the original noise from those microphones overdriving the mics.
Any other questions? Stand by. We'll come over here. We have Lois here. Go ahead, Lois.
It's just something that I think about, but we always have ambient sound in whatever situation we're in. So when you're doing the sound, and I'm
That's
kind of
definitely the
asking,
28. Okay.
when you were doing the sound, how do you judge how
couch
important
further
that
back?
ambience is
Couch
going
is
to
further
be to
back.
make it
Needs to go
real?
further
So
back.
it's not fake, because when you clean it too much, it wouldn't be right? You want some compressor. So are you really controlling that?
Yeah, as the audio post-production, I'm balancing out all the sounds in that story, whether it's a sound effect that exists naturally or something that I create, or if it's a Foley effect or something I bring in from a library, or if it's the room tone. All of that needs to be balanced to create a realism of that particular scene. And if the room is too quiet, yeah, it sounds unnatural, so that's why we record room tone. So we have that ambience, because we hear details in sound. We're not always conscious of what is going on around us audibly, but our brains still pick it up, and if it's missing, our brains sense something is wrong. So that room tone, it has to be there, and you'll hear it in just about everything, unless the room requires, like if you're shooting a scene in a room that's got overstuffed furniture and heavy drapes on the walls, that room is going to be acoustically dead in real life. So if we're shooting a scene in there, that deadness of the sound is going to be natural and expected. Moving from that room, if you walk through a door, into a bright tiled floor with hard walls, lots of echo, then the sound can't be dead, because that would sound wrong in that other environment. Does that answer your question?
Here we go. Go ahead.
Can I just get a recommendation on what headphones
Go
would
that
be
way,
good
and then
to
come down on the
use
post.
while filming?
My favorite are the earbuds from 7-Eleven, the ones at the counter. Those are great. You buy like a bunch of those, and you don't have to worry about it.
Christine, look at David.
In general, if you're just getting started, any headphones that give you a closed ear, I do not recommend 7-Eleven earbuds. But you want to have closed ear headphones so that you're fairly isolated from outside noises in your environment. The pretty much standard of the industry is the Sony 7506. They're about $100. You can get them a little bit less for that on Amazon or eBay. But that's the standard of the industry for both filmmakers and broadcast.
They're good. They compress down. They're practically, well, almost bulletproof, but yeah, they're pretty good. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Steve. James, wouldn't you recommend some lavaliers hidden in the collar as backup as a free insurance policy for the sound?
Just let us know when you're ready to roll, Mike, so we can pull James off the hot seat.
Well, you're talking about hiding microphones on set for body mics. That's exactly what I do, and there are lots of places where you can hide mics and lots of techniques for doing that. You can just do a Google search or go to YouTube and Google or search how to hide a microphone, and there's lots of videos out there on different ways of doing that and different techniques. But yeah, having lav body mics is going to be a good way to back up a boom.
And we are ready to go.
There it is. We just moved that table back there so we have that sneaky there. Little candles. Okay, here we go. Going from the second section. Where the watch is out. And are you guys set?
Ish.
Ish. Okay, ready, Robin?
Yep.
Roll camera.
Camera speed.
And whenever you guys are ready.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to celebrate. There were times when I didn't think that we would get here. But we made it, right? We're here.
Good. I want to do that one more time. That was lovely.
Don't think that's how you poke my head in.
Cutting.
What was it? Did I do with this arm?
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm really
Okay.
close to the frame edge, but I'm doing it. Is that doable?
Yep, that's go up a half an inch, just to make sure. Great, good.
Okay, here we go.
No shoes.
Director down.
Okay, settle everybody.
Phones on stun, please.
And roll camera.
Camera speed.
And whenever you're ready.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to celebrate. There were times when I didn't think that we would get here. But we made it, right? We're here. We're here.
That was lovely. We're going to do it one more time. When she leans down into his chest, do we still hear her?
It gets muffled, and we're a little off axis, so if we can bring the mic a little more over cheated towards David's side, that'd be great.
Should we just wait until her second line or no?
What?
No, we haven't done that before.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to scoot it a little bit more in, Aiden, just a bit. Yeah. These are all the little things that get changed. Just right there, Aiden, not too much. Yeah.
I want to point out something. He's the director of photography. I'm the director. He just walked over, watching the monitor, and gave a tip to the director of photography. Every person on your crew has value, and you have to be open to their input. Otherwise, you're not going to be doing the best work. On the grommet productions, we make that a rule that everybody has input. Okay, ready? Is that going to work?
Yeah. David, look at Christine real quick. Yeah. We don't have the matte box on, so I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a flare. But it looks okay.
Do you want the matte box?
Yeah, we can pop it back on real quick. It's sitting on top of the box there. Yeah, if you would, just, it's probably going from that.
Isn't that known as art? Right? Don't you pay for that?
Once you can't fix it, it's art.
That's exactly. I love it.
You might need to touch up your lips.
You'll also notice while we're putting this on that Michael has elected to use a C-stand arm for the boom pole. And sometimes you have to do that. It's a little brutal on your microphone, but you got to hang it there. Mike and I actually traveled once and used a broom for a broom pole because we forgot the boom pole, but it worked. So you know you have to do what you have to do.
Good, Rob?
Somebody's got to have a key.
Ready?
Okay. You guys ready? Okay, settle please, climb. Roll camera.
Camera speed.
And action.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to celebrate. There were times when I didn't think that we would get here. But we made it, right? We're here. We're here.
Cut. Lovely. And then the only other shot from this angle is him looking at his watch, and I don't need that on the wide shot.
Right.
So let's come around and get close-ups of Christine, which means that we're pretty much going to keep the camera almost exactly where it is, and we're going to rotate the couch and the lighting. Okay? So let me have you guys step out for a sec.
questions going forward at this point while they rotate the world at this point? Yes, go ahead, Jerry.
Well, I had a question for the DP. When you're working with a director that doesn't have as much like technical knowledge as Mike, how would you want a director like that to communicate with you, or what would you prefer that they know at least?
I think we have the benefit. There we go. We have the benefit these days of being able to show them on screen a little bit. So have a brief discussion, if you can, qualitatively about the look and feel, because the director should at least be able to have a tone in mind that they're looking for. They may not know focal lengths. They may not know color temperatures and things like that, but you can say, do you want to feel close? Do you want to see the world that they're in, or do you want to have a very narrow focus on them? Do you want it to feel warm or cool? And then you take that as guidelines, start to set things up, and then you can luckily show them these days, unlike the film days where video assist was a very difficult thing. You can say, is this close to what you're looking for? So you have to do a lot of interpretation based on some very broad terms, and also bring your ideas based on the script to say, I feel like this, I'm seeing this in my head this way, does that match what you're looking for? And then go based on that. Looking for the 50 for her. Did that wander away here, Mike?
Questions here?
It probably has the wrong lens cap.
Yeah, that's probably this one with the 20.
Any other questions? I'm gonna go back here because he's new, and then I'll
It's
come
this
back.
one.
Okay.
Oh, I've been
That's
asked
the
to go from the
85s.
middle and not the edges, so they can see my expanse here. Crossing. Your name, sir?
Mariano. Yes. Is there going to be a shot of the golden watch, as in like a full focus? I mean, to me, that is a very important image for the story, but I'm not sure if there's going to be a plan for that.
If we have time. It's more important for me to get the actor's story than the watch. The watch is symbolic, but the performances are vital.
And Ryan, this is part of that philosophy. If you gave everybody in here an opportunity to direct this identical script and the identical scene with the same people, you'd have a different movie each time, because you're all going to interpret the importance of what you think is important to tell the story. And this is Mike's story. This is the story Mike wants to tell and how Mike wants to tell it. So he'll do that. And also, I'll tell him it's 11:30, and he'll say thank you, and I'll just step away. And that's the other part about it going forward. So, yeah, it's an interpretation thing, Mariano, and you might think that's great, and you would plan on making that. Mike's going, look, I don't think I need it, and that's a different story. Anything else?
And that might be something where, as we're mushing over to do the second thing, I'll have Robin just use two little lights and get a close-up of the watch.
Yep.
Go ahead.
What if there's a hair that's out of place? Is that all post-production, or is a hair and makeup person called between the scenes to fix?
In
maybe
theory-
put some powder if
The
they're
candles
sweating,
overshot a little bit?
lighting and all that. That's what I'm thinking about, and it's bugging me. There's this one
In
hair that I
theory,
see.
a hair and makeup person would be called to do that.
So that's what I wanted to.
We have a crew of 4. We are letting that go by and hope that you're so involved in the movie that you forget that the hair is out of place. At the moment, Christine is off doing her cleaning up her makeup because we're about to do her close-up.
Light off the background a little bit more.
So on a 48 shoot, you do have a makeup person and a hair
And
person?
that also
Yes.
needs to be?
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
there we go.
point I wanted to bring up, because we
Yes.
haven't addressed it yet.
Well, I will
I'm-
say, if you can get somebody who knows what they're doing, then the value of those people are phenomenal.
And there have been a couple times where we've had teams that are like 45 people. But there's also times where it's just a tiny little group of people. And you do the jobs you can, and you hope that the story shines through all the flaws.
And I will attest to, at that 45 point, you're getting diminishing returns. Just too many people on a set, and it actually slows you down than having fewer.
Another point from our experience, we had a green room upstairs in the Horton Grand Theater where everybody else was, and then a PA would call us down when our scene was ready, so that these guys had their intimate moments and we're not on set with
Are you
them.
stopping down?
So that's something to think about, to have maybe PAs on your team, production assistants, and people that can wrangle, like you said, to keep others out because of noise and things like that.
Man, I want to
You
work
can
on
adjust
your
by
set.
yourself,
I mean, the
unless
double
you're
X
already
folks
at
of
the bottom.
masseuses and green rooms, that's phenomenal. You had something to add?
No, not to add, but what could you tell me about when you're shooting actors close up regarding the light in their eyes?
There's a name for that. It's a catch light. Or an obi. What you're trying to do is figure out the reflection angle from camera to their eye. And what you want over there is, what I like over there is some kind of surface of light. If you look at the LED, the little crappy LED that's over there, it has a diffusion panel on it. So when it lights up, it's kind of like just this white panel. So that if that shows up in her eyes, it's just this little pretty rectangle of light. When I'm lighting somebody, I like having that. I like being able to see a little pinpoint of light in people's eyes, because that shows that it's kind of like the light inside them that's showing up, in theory. In practice, it's just an obi or a catch light. You're welcome.
Is that OB as in the letters, or OB as in
OBIE, I think.
OBIE. Merle Oberon? He's the one who invented it?
She didn't invent it, but her cameraman did.
Oh.
Put light in her eyes.
There you go. Because he didn't like her.
That's
Wanted
not
to really
distracting.
make her not see. Any other questions? Going forward, hang on, yep.
Just want to ask what kind of light they use inside the China bulb. That's an LED. Did you talk about that before? In the Kelvin colors.
The light bulbs in the China lantern, these are the ones that were in there, right?
Yep.
They are IKEA LED light bulbs. IKEA LED light bulbs have a great CRI. I keep 2 tungsten and I keep 2 daylight, and sometimes I will put one of each in there. There's a term for that. It's called salt and pepper. If you put multiple, like this light over here has 1 blue tube, or 2 blue tubes and 1 orange tube. And so that's halfway in between tungsten and daylight. So it's salt and peppered.
All right, how are you? How close are you, Mike?
Did you have a question?
Is there a question? Oh, stand by. Is this a comment?
Came out are really high quality.
Oh, quasars are very high quality LED lights, yes. They just released simple bulbs? Wow, Quasar has has basic bulbs. That's awesome.
How close are you to rolling, Mike?
Camera's ready.
Okay. Well,
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Last looks.
we-
Monitor, Mike?
We're starting at the beginning. Look at, not your last looks at the monitor, my last looks at the monitor.
Mine too.
I want her keyed from the other side. This is too bright.
James on it. James here, makeup now.
Is that better? Did I get it?
Our hair and makeup arrived
That's
late
good,
to the
Jake.
set. Right, Marianne? There you go. Just don't arrive late.
Okay, down on that.
Ooh, all the way down.
Now see the light in her eye there? That's what I'm looking for. I'm hating this. This is entirely too much fill.
Yep. We're getting a lot from back. We're getting
And then I'm gonna stand up and it's gonna mess up again.
Can you go turn that off?
I didn't get here. I didn't get here.
Thank you. Yes, it will. You're right. You look nice. No, later you will.
Watch the slack. Yeah, watch your slack on that.
You watch your own slack. Okay, Christine, look at Aiden.
Yep.
Can you point that light directly at her, the LED?
Copy.
Any questions from the youngsters among us? Like Sean here. I mean, are you looking at things and going, what is this old guy doing? This is not how you do it nowadays. Or are there things you're going, wow, they don't teach us that. Anything you're seeing?
Then bring.
I'm mostly just trying to soak up all the information I can.
What is it you do, Sean?
Mostly photography, and I enjoy making like shorts and stuff. And I'm going to Palomar right now and taking film classes, so figured this.
Say
would
hi
be
to
a
Bonnie.
Good thing to check.
Right. What year are you in?
I'm a freshman. This is my second semester.
You may know somebody. Do you know an
I'm liking
Espinosa
that.
over there?
Yeah.
There you
Really?
go.
They actually came in and gave us seminar tour.
I'm sorry. And how about you?
Oh, I'm just a film student too. I go to Palomar too.
I'm liking that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to learn as much about film as I possibly can. And just soak up all this information.
Have you picked up anything today? Have you know anything you go, wow, I'm definitely going to do that?
I definitely know more about lighting and stuff. Like lighting affects the film like in a big way.
Feel free
so
to ask questions.
I want to talk briefly about lighting here. When I'm looking at this frame, I'm trying to figure out bright spots, shadow spots, how deep I want the shadow spots. I mean, if you look at where we are right now, you look at that frame and you go, yeah, that's right. That looks normal, right? It was like this. And if you just look at this right out of the box, you go, yeah, that's normal. But if you adjust the amount of contrast to it, you get more normal, you get better, you get happier with it. So adjust distance from lights, adjust dim lights. There's a director of photography that I heard about that he will light up his whole set, and then he will, just before he rolls, he will turn the lights off and turn one on at a time. And if he likes where it is, then he leaves it on. And he ends up, basically, he gets all lit, and then he turns one off at a time, and he decides whether or not he wants that light that way. You find that after you start lighting a lot, they kind of become redundant on each other. And so start turning lights off, and you might find better contrast. And
Who was the DP?
I have no idea.
You about ready there?
Yes.
Team? Okay.
So, Christine, this is the first section, so you're going to sit down into that.
But don't mess up your hair. There's one hair that's bugging.
Okay, here we go. As long as it's consistent, I don't care about one hair. Because people have stray hairs. Okay, you ready?
Ready.
Roll camera.
Camera speeds.
And whenever you're ready, Christine.
I've been thinking about this ride we've been on. It's been 3 years for you today. Arthur, I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
Honestly, I'm proud of me too. I'm grateful for you. For this. For my life now. I love you, baby. So much.
I love you too. This is to celebrate a whole new life.
Cassie. Wow.
That's my dad's.
I don't.
3 years. And there's no looking back now.
Cut. That was lovely. We're gonna. I want you to ramp up on the emotional stuff. There was that. It was like the second or third line, where it felt like you were on the verge of tears. I want you to still be fighting it at that moment.
Okay.
If you have to look away from him, if you have to look down, do it. But I want you to control it, and
Okay.
then, and this is a joyous, joyous day. One more time. Without the phone. By the way, just so you know, when your phone rang, I pulled my phone out and put it on mute. Okay, here we go. Settle, please. Quiet. And roll camera.
Camera speed.
Robin, don't go quite so far. Don't favor the lamp so much.
Got it.
Okay. Here we go. And whenever you're ready, Christine.
I've been thinking about this ride we've been on. It's 3 years for you today. Arthur, I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
Honestly, I'm proud of me too. And I'm grateful for you, for this, for my life now. I love you, baby.
I love you too. This is to celebrate a whole new life together.
Cassie. Wow.
It's my dad's.
And I don't...
3 years. There's no looking back now.
That's lovely.
And here's another tip for you producers out there working your directors. Sometimes your director will be stressed things will be running behind, right? Oh, you need to get going. So you just walk up to your director and you make sure he sees this. You just do. You just tap your watch and you walk by. That's it.
Of the
Now
screen.
you're not saying it. The crew doesn't hear that. You just tap. He knows, and that's it. And you walk away. So that's another little tip so that you're not like putting all the pressure on the crew. Now it's just on one guy.
And roll camera.
Camera speed.
Settle, please. Quiet. And here we go. Whenever you're ready, Christine. Quiet, please.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to celebrate. There were times when I didn't think that we would get here. But we made it, right? We're here. We're here.
Good. We're going to do it one more time. Okay. There's a little camera bump on the tilt down.
Should we follow her down to his chest?
Sure. Okay. Roll camera, please.
Camera speed.
And whenever you're ready, Christine.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to celebrate. There were times when I didn't think that we would get here. But we made it, right? We're here. We're here.
Okay, cut. I have almost everything but in the first tape but the tilt down, and that one I had the tilt down, so I'm good. Go into the close-up. Oh, 85.
Oh.
So as he switches to the 85, some of you might notice, hey, well, why isn't that camera? It looks like it's kind of bumping down or a little bumpy. Sometimes you get the gear that you get. It would be great to have a 3-ton grip truck pull up and having Peter Mickelson show up with his trailer full of wonderful gear, but sometimes you get what you get. Sometimes you get a camera too big for the tripod head, or a head that's big, and so you make it work the best you can. And that's what they're doing. It's a back-heavy camera, so unfortunately Robin's fighting it, but sometimes it's what it is. It is what it is. So you do the best that you can with what you have. So try to get the best you can, but it is. And Mike will cut around it. Your editors will cut around it. So yeah, always get the best you can, but sometimes you get what you get, and you just really have to work with it. Yes?
Well, the DP's fiddling. We know he's wide open at 1.4, but what are the rest of the settings and how did he come to them? I didn't see a meter, you know, how did he adjust the white balance and frame rates and all that? What, you know?
A lot of that discussion happens very in the beginning. Mike and the DP talked about almost all those settings, and Mike and the DP knows what Mike's trying to get to.
What are they?
We are shooting at 2398 frames per second. 180-degree shutter, which means our shutter speed is 1/50th of a second. We are shooting at 1920 by 1080. I don't know what our white balance is. What's our white balance? 5600, and then we're lighting close to tungsten so that everything will be warm. The next one that we go over there, we will probably have a white balance that is closer to 3200, and we will light everything in daylight so it all goes blue. Okay?
So you're changing the white balance?
Yeah. From one scene to the next. We're keeping the same white balance all the way through this scene. What other specs are there? So the way we do the exposure is we...
Do you use a hand meter?
No, we have a monitor.
So, I saw the green on there. Is that the...
Focus peaking?
Focus peaking?
Yes.
So do you waveform monitors?
In the real world, sure. In this camera has a little histogram that's literally this big, and you're trying to get the exposure in between the two marks and over to the right a little bit.
You don't see that, he sees that.
Right.
Okay.
But what we're doing is we're setting the camera to the exposure we want, and then we're lighting to that exposure.
False color would be nice if we had it.
Yes. Okay, you ready? Yeah. Okay, Christine, are you ready? Starting at the beginning, sitting in. We aren't going to see the box. It's a close-up, so just hand him the box. Ignore the ribbon. Or just fake like you're handing him the box. It doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. Settle, please. Thank you, Robin. And whenever you're ready.
I've been thinking about this ride we've been on. It's been 3 years for you today. Arthur, I'm so proud of you. 3 years clean and sober.
You know, honestly, I'm proud of me too. You know, I'm grateful to you for this, for my life now. And I love you, baby, so much.
I love you too. This is to celebrate a whole new life.
Cassie. Wow.
It was my dad's.
I don't...
3 years. There's no looking back now.
Because we are one take now.
Is that what you said? Watch out.
Yeah.
Are you ready, Christy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Roll camera, please. Dana, quiet, please.
Camera speeds.
And whenever you're ready.
And after your meeting, you get a chip. We should go out to celebrate. There were times when I didn't think that we would get here. But we made it, right? We're here. We're here.
David, scoot your shoulder back a tiny bit. And Christine, just say, let me line the microphone up a little bit better, and then we're going to say that. Just say we're here. We'll get this line. Give me a frame line.
We're here. We're here.
Do we have time to do the close-up of the watch?
10 minutes, absolutely.
Okay. Do you want to do that off the sticks, or do you want to move David to you?
And that's another tip. Sometimes you come up with a little shorthand with your director, and you can come up with a plan, like I might say Palm Springs, and meaning that that's the I-10 runs by Palm Springs. You ever been on the I-10? One that crosses the I-5 in San, little tips like that, little code you can come up with so you can just say Palm Springs. He knows you mean 10 minutes left.
It's going over there.
And you're good to go. Okay. Those little things, little codes that don't shock the client sometimes on a set. Oh my God, what? We only have, or your crew who's doing stuff, and you don't want to panic them to think they have to work faster. You just let it go.
Sticks in front. Sorry.
Are we going to move him around?
Do you want his POV? I'm sorry, did you just put him in?
Yeah, I want to look over his
Any
shoulder at the
questions?
watch.
Questions going forward? Yes.
Why
You
don't we
should
rotate
be
the
over
couch?
here
Put the
and
sticks here.
watch,
Let's
because we've got
rotate the couch.
a boatload of stuff he's writing down here that we're going to read after the break and
Let
see
me
what
guys
we've
stand up
learned.
for a second.
But go ahead.
Once this comes up.
And
How
step out
tentative would the
somewhere
director be
ish.
with changing motives of the actors and the characters during the shoot? Like, if you think of something on the spot, it's like, whoa, that would be kind of cool to have as an option. Are you generally weary because you don't want to mess with the actors during the shoot?
If actors have a question, it's incumbent upon them to ask me that question before we start. Because I can't start painting the room blue and then have them go, this would be much better pink halfway through. If it's a better idea and I'm halfway through, I'm screwed. So from a director's perspective, if an actor wants input, they have to do it early. And the actors also have to be flexible. There was one film that we were doing where it was a thriller film where this woman is kind of like the caretaker for this gentleman who had some physical disabilities, and in one scene they have to run down steps, and he came to me beforehand and said, it's a chase scene, and he says, my character wouldn't be able to navigate those steps. And I said, he's going to have to, because it's a 7-minute movie. We can't stop for 2.5 minutes and watch him try and navigate those steps. An actor has to be flexible, and hopefully the director is flexible as well. But the story comes first, and everything else comes after that. But I love stuff like that in the writing room. If an actor can say, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if," that's where the magic comes from in the story and the characters, having that insight. Okay, so we just turned the couch around. Instead of running the camera behind the couch and moving all the lights around, we just turned the couch around to get this close up. Now that light position, if you look at it, we're getting direct reflection off the face of that watch. So there's going to be a point where when he picks up the watch and turns it, I want to see that glimmer of light, but I don't want it to land there. So, and David, we're not seeing your face, so you can watch the monitor, and I'm going to turn this ever so slightly toward you so you can see it a little better. But we're going, I want it, basically when I cut to this, you're going to be moving your hand past, and there's going to be a cut where it has that reflection of light, and then it lands where I see the watch clearly. So you're basically going to move your hand past that reflection and into the watch. There you go. Just like that, yeah. And if we can put the... Just to break up the background so that it isn't just a flat black background. Now, David, you're going to have to land in a spot where you're in focus, and then once we roll, you're in charge of it being in focus, so good luck to you. Fortunately, he has his glasses with him. I don't know if we're going to need this. Let's off and on this. Go ahead and there's our shot. Okay, so let's.
Isn't that where we're getting the reflection from? No, we're on the other side.
How's our light level on the camera? We underexposed by 7 stops?
Just a touch. Yeah, the dark area is
You can
crushed.
go up on well, that's okay.
Yep. Yep, I'm at 200. Let me go to 400 and see what that gives us.
Okay. And I'm just going to do this real quick, just to see what happens. I'm going to turn this light on. I'm going to turn this light on once I find the switch. And I'm going to stand in between him and the light. Here's what the light is doing to his hand, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Up his pants leg a little bit too.
I like that. Okay, cool. Lucky us. Clear the monitor so they can see.
Yep. Is that good?
Okay.
Good too right there?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Roll camera.
Camera speeds.
And now put it in the box and pull it out to there.
Oh, well, now you're making things.
Yeah.
Tell me I was going to do that.
Okay, go ahead. That was nice. Do it a little quicker if you can. So it looks like you're just pulling it out of the box. And that was nice.
Can I try a rack on that?
What? Did I not put it in there?
Are you going to try
I'm gonna try a rack on one.
Okay, Robin's going to try a rack focus. Here we go. And action. Oh, what a pretty watch. Okay, cut.
Camera cutting.
It's 11:58.
Who knows?
The watch is set for when her dad had it last. Okay.
Stop. Hasn't been wound.
You can always rationalize. You can always rationalize.
All right,
Anything
first
else?
half of our shoot day. Well done, everybody.
Hold on, no, you're not getting up. Very good, very good. Well done for the crew. How about the crew right here? Excellent job, really. How about our actors? Yes, yes. Great chemistry between our actors, would you agree? They're married, in case you didn't know that. They are married.
Not to each other.
Yeah. Way to break the news. Way to break the news.
And she just gave him a watch. That's lovely. What time want to be back? We want to give you a tick more time because sometimes walking 3 blocks and back. So it's 1:15 good for everybody? Is that back? 1:15 or does anybody want 1:30? 1:15 better? Let's go 1:15. Again, Michael will stay for questions at the end. We can have ask questions here. I'll try to hang as long as I can for questions. Anybody want to ask questions? We're great. 1:15. Be safe. Enjoy Escondido. Go eat. Have fun.